The Hughes brothers are three of the best young talents in the NHL right now, and today we're going to be building a super team around these three guys, and we're going to be rebuilding this team until the end of one of their careers. So we're going to be starting off, of course, Jack Hughes, 22 years old, the best player in the New Jersey Devils at 93 overall. However, Jack Hughes actually isn't the highest overall when it comes to the Hughes brothers, because Quinn Hughes is going to be at the top here as a 94 overall. But don't worry, he's going to have Luke Hughes at his side, an 83 overall. He's only 20 years old. We're going to keep these three brothers on the same team for the rest of their careers, and we're going to try to win them a couple Stanley Cups. There's not too many rules for this video other than Quinn Hughes and Luke Hughes always have to be playing alongside each other. Whether that's the first, second, or third pairing, they always have to play alongside each other. Meanwhile, when it comes to Jack Hughes, there's no rules for him. He just has to hold it down the first line. I mean, once we get late into his career and he's like 35 years old and he's only like an 81 overall, he can play on the bottom six or something. But for now, he's our best forward. We have a bunch of free agent here that are 60 overalls. We don't really have too much on this team, but don't worry, it's not going to take too long and then we'll be competing for Stanley Cups. So these three brothers right here, they're going to be playing alongside each other for the rest of their careers. This is probably going to be like a 15-year-ish rebuild. I can't tell you exactly how long this rebuild's going to be. It's going to end once one Hughes brother retires. So whether that's Quinn, Jack, or Luke, we're going to be here for a minute. It's going to be at least 15 years. I think I've done enough talking here. Let's get straight into the rebuild. Now, obviously, for year number one, this team is not going to be good. We're going to be one of the worst teams in the entire league. So we just got to hope that we get the first overall pick. Because just because you have the best record doesn't mean you're guaranteed the first overall. While the season simulates, you see this right here. That's how many subscribers the Detroit Red Wings have. Now here's how many subscribers I have. We're trying to pass the Detroit Red Wings in YouTube subscribers, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, this makes no sense, but somehow we won 10 games this season. We had 3 players on this team and we somehow won 10 games. We were also scoring over 2 goals per game, which makes no sense to me. And 5 goals allowed is actually pretty good considering it's a team of all 60 overalls. Well, except for 3 players, of course. Now, of course, the Hughes brothers are going to be leading the way here. Quinn Hughes is picking up 82 points. Jack Hughes, 77, while Luke Hughes, a pretty good rookie year for him. He's got 51 points here. Now, we really don't care what's going on here. The Dallas Stars are going to be winning the Stanley Cup, taking down the Ottawa Senators. But we have the draft lottery coming up, and this is going to be massive for us. So, obviously, we want the first overall pick here, and we're actually not getting screwed for once. We're getting the first overall pick. Now, ideally, we get a forward that can play alongside Jack Hughes, but if there's a franchise potential defenseman available, then I'm not going to turn that down. I take that back. Best case scenario, we get a franchise potential defenseman and then we just trade him for 5 incredible players. That would actually be the perfect thing that could happen to us. Alright, so I'm not guaranteed what this guy's going to be right here, but Westcott, we're going to be going with you. You can play the right or left wing, and you're probably going to have medium league potential. I'm not really too concerned here. A medium league potential sniper playing alongside Jack Hughes, I think that's a match made in heaven. Now, we're in a situation right now where we can't risk just getting a bunch of bad players through the draft, so we're trading the 67th overall and the 199th over to the Boston Bruins, and we're going to pick up a future second round pick. Unless we can get something better than that, but you know what? I think we're just going to stick with that second round pick. That's going to be pretty valuable for us. And the reason I held on to the 100th overall pick is so we can get this guy right here, a medium elite potential sniper, 2 medium elite potential players in the draft already. The future's looking good for this team. The 2 draft picks after the 100th overall didn't turn into anything special, but you know what? 2 medium elite potential players, nothing I can complain about here. Now, obviously, here in the re-sign phase, we don't have any players to bring back. We're going to sign that one rookie that's an 83 overall. The other one we're going to give a bit more time to develop here. But for now, we're just going to have 4 guys under contract. Everyone else can leave. All right, so when it comes to hiring a coach, obviously, we want a coach that can fit with Jack, Luke, and Quinn Hughes. And this guy right here, he's the man for us. All 3 of these guys are going to have near perfect fits with him. The only one that's not going to have a perfect fit is Jack, but look how close he is to having a perfect fit here. Dalton's definitely the guy for us. Surprisingly, Luke Hughes actually wants to return to the team. I have no clue why he would want to do that, but we're doing 6.3 for the next 8 years. Obviously, with all these guys, we're going to do 8-year contracts whenever we can. But Luke Hughes, I'm very surprised you want to return to this team. Like, we only won 10 games or something. I was fully expecting you not wanting an extension. Now, if there is one thing this team can do, it's sign players. We have $70 million in cap space to work with. However, I don't want to sign a ton of players to long-term deals here because we're not going to be winning in the next 2 years. We're not winning in the next 3 years. However, 5 years down the road, that's when we're going to be dominating the NHL. So until then, I think we're just going to be signing guys like Max Pacioretty, sign them to 1-year deals, retaining 50% of their contract, and then shipping them out. However, a guy like Forsling, we can do a 6-year deal at this price. I'll do 6 years at $5.1 million. million, and then at the end of your contract, we'll still be able to trade you away for some good assets. Now, I know I did just say I don't want to bring in a lot of really good players, but Elias Lindholm, we need you on the team here. Jack Hughes needs somebody to play alongside. Sean Monahan, 3.3 for the next 3 years. I think we'll be able to get you up to an 85 overall because you're going to be playing on the second line. I think that's a smart move. And then the next contract we're giving out, it's going to go to Jack Roslovic, 4.4 for the next 2 years. If you're wondering why I'm giving more money than what they're asking for, we won 10 games last season. Nobody wants to play for our team. Up next is going to be Victor Olofsson, 3.3 for the next 2 years. We need somebody to score on this team. Shillington, 4.4 for the next 3 years. I actually think that's a pretty good contract for you. Whether we keep you on for the next 4 or even trade you at some point, you're going to be helping the team here. When it comes to a goaltender, Alex Nedeljkovic, we need somebody to stop the puck once in a while. Scott Wedgwood, you can be the backup here. We'll do 2 years at 1.8 with you. We have 2 goaltenders locked down. We got a couple forwards, a couple defensemen. We know how Max Domi can develop in this sim, so we're doing 5 years at $3 million. If he can develop like he normally does and gets up to an 87 overall, that contract's going to allow him to have a ton of trade value. With a guy like Taylor Radish, I actually could see him sticking around long term at this price point, 2.1 for the next 7 years. He's going to be a good bottom 6 piece. For the next couple, he'll probably be on the top 6. Even a guy like Tyson Jost, for the amount of minutes he's going to play on this team, you never know what he can develop into. Kevin LeBanc, you're going to be getting $2 million for the next 5 years. Vrana will do 3 years at $1.75 million. And then obviously we do need some defensemen, so Hawk and Paw, $2 million for the next 3. I think those are going to be all the signings I make. I know I just said I was going to allow the CPU to sign the rest of the players, but now I'm officially done here. Let's get ready for next season. Obviously, we're not going to be competing for a Stanley Cup, let alone making the playoffs here. But Jack Hughes, Lindholm, and Westcott on the first line, you know what? I think that actually could be our first line for the future. I mean, probably not Lindholm because he already is like, what, 29 years old? He's not going to be here for the long run. But Hughes and Westcott definitely will be. Taylor Radish, I'm giving you second line minutes here because I want to see if I can develop you into an 84 overall. And then once you're an 84, I'll drop you down to the third line. Sean Monahan, you have a good fit here. That's why you're playing here. A +1 boost on the second, third, and fourth line. While on the first line, we're getting a +3. That's exactly what we need here. Defensively, our pairings here I can't complain about. Except for the third, we have a 70 overall. But you know what? We're going to rock with it. 96 overall Quinn Hughes, 85 overall Luke Hughes. These two guys are going to be something special for us. Meanwhile, the goaltending situation here, Scott Wedgwood in 82, Alex Nedeljkovic in 82. These aren't the guys for the future, but they can hold it down for now. When it comes to goaltending, I think the plan here is to draft Gabriel Degg. I think he's in the upcoming draft. He's either in this upcoming draft or the next one after that. He has elite potential. He always turns into an absolute superstar goaltender, and that's going to be the guy for us. So Gabriel Degg, you're eventually going to become a Houston Tiger. Whether you like it or not, you're going to be joining our team. Alright, so I cannot process what is going on right now. It makes absolutely no sense. We're 10th in the entire league with a 35, 24, and 6 record. The Houston Tigers, the team that won 10 games last season, is 35, 24, and 6, and we're in the playoffs right now. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Also, we have a pretty solid offense here, 3.49 goals per game, while the defense only allowing 3. We do realize we have a 70 overall on our defense, right? Oh yeah, by the way, Jack Hughes has already surpassed his point total from last season. He has 85 points here in 65 games, including 44 goals. Quinn Hughes, 75 points. Meanwhile, where's Luke Hughes? That man is actually not doing anything right now. Where is he? Luke Hughes, 19 points. Okay, I'm expecting a lot more from an offensive defenseman. Just gonna be honest here. I mean, to be fair, you are playing with Quinn Hughes and he is dominating right now. That man has 75 points in 65 games, but even still, pick up some more points, Luke. Now, I didn't plan on going all in this season, and I still don't plan on going all in, but can we discuss the fact that we're 10th in the entire league? That makes absolutely no sense. I think that means we have to make at least 1 or 2 moves. What those moves are going to be, I have no clue because obviously we're not rushing the process here. We're not bringing in a guy like Alex Pietrangelo who's 35 years old. We want to still bring in young players. Who those young players are going to be, not quite sure. Logan Thompson could be interesting though. He's 28 years old. He's an 85 overall goaltender. I think that's going to be our first move. Logan Thompson, welcome to the team. Okay, so this is going to be the move. The second rounder we got from the Boston Bruins is sent over to the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to try to pick up Logan Thompson and a 4th round pick. Unfortunately, we're not getting that 4th round pick, but we are going to be getting Logan Thompson here. Now, we could use a good defensive defenseman here, and I think that's what this guy's going to provide for us. He's not too old either, only 26 years old. We'll be able to bring him back to the team, and I'm going to give up that 70 overall as well as a 7th round pick. San Jose is going to be cheering in the streets because they got a 7th round pick. If that team is cheering over 7th round picks and they're in the pits of Tartarus, nothing is going right for them. Alright, I think I actually finally learned how to pronounce his name after all this time. Knizhov for doing 2.4 for the next 5. I have no clue if I said that right. I probably didn't, but I think I might be close. Also, Logan Thompson, I'll do 1.625. I'll give you exactly what you want for the next 2 years. And 85 overall, you're going to be a good guy for us. All right, so we saw a bit of decline after the trade deadline, but somehow we still got into the playoffs here. 43, 30, and 9. This makes no sense whatsoever. As I've said a million times so far, we won 10 games last season, and now we're in the postseason. Obviously, Jack Hughes helped a lot here. I mean, he had 101 points, 52 goals. Quinn Hughes, he had 92 points. The two brothers leading the way. Meanwhile, I don't know where Luke is. That man wasn't really doing too much this season. 25 points, but he was plus 29, so I mean, it's not like he was doing terrible out there. He's also an 86 overall. Thought I'd mention that. But you know what? Sometimes we just can't talk about the Hughes brothers. And Westcott, you picked up 53 points here, 30 goals in your rookie year. You're an 83 overall. I thought you would have been 85 at this point, but it doesn't matter too much. That's a pretty solid rookie campaign for you. Meanwhile, Logan Thompson, since joining the team, you've been absolutely abysmal. A 7-6-3 record with an 895 and a 354. Okay, you got to be better than that, because look at Scott Wedgwood here. He had a 915 to 288. He's our starter for the postseason. I mean, that's a lie. We're going with Logan Thompson. At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters which of these goaltenders we go with. More than likely, it's going to be Logan Thompson. We're not going to be getting out of the first round. But I think I've done enough talking about the regular season. We got the Minnesota Wild here in the first round. Houston, can you go on some sort of miracle run here and allow the Hughes brothers to get their first Stanley Cup in year number 2? Definitely not, but you can always hope. Surprisingly, Houston's actually competing with the Minnesota Wild here, and we've tied the series up. Game number 5 is going to be a deciding one, and we lost that 7-1. Yeah, we're not bouncing back in game 6. This series is all wrapped up. A 3-2 loss. Considering what the expectations for this team were, this is definitely a success. So although we lost in the first round here, we saw a lot of success, somehow making it into the postseason. And with all the young players we have on this team, they're going to keep on getting better, and we're going to be even better next season. Are we going to be winning a Stanley Cup? Absolutely not. But top 10 in the entire league, that's a real possibility. So the Hughes brothers definitely didn't help us in the postseason here. Jack Hughes, 4 points. Luke Hughes, he had 4 points. Well, Luke Hughes, you better at least have had 1. Luke Hughes, you had 1 point here, but you're -5. Okay, the team didn't perform. No surprises. Let's get on over to the draft and be prepared to trade up to get Gabriel Degg, because I know for a fact he's not going to be dropping to the 20th overall pick. So with the 19th overall pick, Gabriel Degg's actually still available here, and that's who we're going to be selecting. He's going to be the goaltender for the future for us. A 68 overall with medium elite potential. Gabriel Degg and the Hughes brothers. That's a recipe for success. But who knows if Gabriel Degg's actually going to be the guy for us, because we drafted a 61 overall goaltender with the 52nd overall pick, and he also has medium elite potential. If we could hold on to both of these guys long term, we're going to have the best goaltending tandem in the league by far. Now we might as well keep on bringing these elite potential players in, and with the 85th overall, we're getting a low elite potential one. Similar to the last draft, unless I know we're getting a good prospect, I'm shipping out picks, and we're going to be acquiring a future 3rd rounder from the Boston Bruins, as well as a prospect. Alright, I was banking on our next 2 selections being a bit better, but we actually just got 2 backup potential goaltenders, so that wasn't ideal. You know what? You can't win with every single draft pick. The odd time you're going to be drafting a dud. When it comes to the re-sign phase, we're not going to be giving out any extensions here, because I don't really want to bring any of these guys back. Even a guy like Matt Phillips, who's only 27 years old. Max Jones, he's 27 years old as well. They might be able to develop into something, but you know what? I don't think they will be. So I'm perfectly fine with letting all these guys walk. Now, as we know, last free agency, we signed a couple of guys to 2-year deals. One of them was Jack Roslovic. He's an 84 overall, 28 years old. He's going to have a bit of trade value, so we're going to be shipping him out before the season begins. Victor Olofsson, you're probably going to get traded as well. When it comes to goaltending, one of these guys is getting traded. I don't know which one's going to be. Probably Scott Wedgwood. He is 32 years old. Then again, Alex Nedeljkovic might have a bit more trade value. Whichever goaltender has more trade value between these 2 guys is getting traded. So I think this is what the plan is going to be. Jack Roslovic and Sean Monahan over to the Buffalo Sabres. We're going to pick up Caden Lindstrom. As we know, this man always develops into one of the best players in the game. I mean, that's a bit of a lie, but he does turn into a 90 overall in most simulations. So we're going to try to pick him up for these 2 guys right here. Obviously, that's not going to be enough, but I feel like our trade value is actually not too far off. So maybe if I include a 3rd rounder from the Boston Bruins, that's going to be enough to get this deal done. Okay, we just got one of the best young talents in the game. Now with our next trade, Alex Nedeljkovic is the goaltender that has more trade value between him and Scott Wedgwood. I'm going to send both of these guys over to the Chicago Blackhawks so we can get 84 overall Lucas Reichel. He's only 23 years old, so he still has a ton of time to develop here. I guess we're not going to be able to get the 4th rounder, but we can definitely do a 2-for-1 here. I'm sending this over to Chicago and they're saying yes. So after making those trades, we got to fill out the forward core. Lars Eller, we're going to do a 1-year deal at $3.8 million. You can play some bottom 6 minutes for us. Next is going to be Jamie Benn, 2.1 for next season. That's a steal for an 83 overall. Robbie Fabry, I see the potential in a guy like you. We're going to do 3 years at $2.8 million. I feel like if we give you enough opportunity, you can develop into like an 85 overall player, and at $2.8 million, you're going to have a lot of trade value. I also see the potential in a guy like Mason Appleton, 2.3 for the next 4 years. That would be an incredible contract as well. To finish it all off, Morgan Geeky, I'll give you 2.1 for the next 2 seasons. And then Pius Suter, you're going to be the final piece of the puzzle, 1.1 for the next 3. So the young guys on our team continue to develop. Jack Hughes is up to a 95. Westcott's up to an 84. Max Domi, he's an 86 overall. So when we do decide to trade him, he's going to have a ton of value. Lucas Reichel's another guy we picked up during the offseason. He's up to an 85 overall. So as long as the young guys continue to develop here and Max Domi, then we're going to be in a good position. Looking at the defense, we're led by a 96 overall Quinn Hughes and an 85 overall Luke Hughes, and these guys are going to keep on getting better. Meanwhile, the next 2 pairings, they're not the best in the world, but they could certainly be worse. Forsling an 85 overall. If Forsling doesn't develop anymore, I'm perfectly fine with that. He's holding it down the second pairing. Ideally, we get another young defenseman that can play alongside him, and then Forsling can help him develop. To cap it all off, Logan Thompson's coming back this season, an 85 overall. His numbers definitely didn't look good for us last season, but to be fair, we shouldn't even be competing for Stanley Cups right now. We're about 4 years away. Now, barring how this team's looking at the trade deadline, we'll be making some moves here. I don't think we're going to be competing for a Stanley Cup, but then again, last season we did make the playoffs. We shouldn't have made the playoffs. That literally made absolutely no sense. But barring the trade value of some of these guys on expiring deals, we'll probably make a couple trades. So although we lack talent on the bottom 6 and bottom pairing defense, somehow we're still in a playoff position here. We're 15th in the entire league with a 35, 25, and 4 record. We're scoring a lot of goals here, but the defense clearly needs work. But we've known this since year number 1 now. Like usual, Jack Hughes is going to be dominating. He's leading the way with 81 points here. Quinn Hughes, he's got 67. Elias Lindholm, he's got 58. Robbie Fabry, what a great pickup that was. He's up to an 83 overall. I actually think I signed him at an 83 overall, but he's got 56 points here. Next season, he's going to have some good trade value for us. Meanwhile, Luke Hughes, 27 points. How many points did you have last season? 25. So you've already surpassed your total from last season. That's what I call development. Meanwhile, Logan Thompson, I'm happy to see the numbers are better this season. 28 wins, 3 shots, a 909 to 298. The defense still isn't good in front of you, so I can't really expect too much more than this. I mean, comparing your numbers to Scott Wedgwood, they could be way worse. Sorry, Scotty, but it's just the way she goes. So here's what I'm thinking. A first round pick for Patrick Laine, a 3rd and 4th rounder. Patrick Laine is on an expiring contract, but he's only 27 years old and an 86 overall. We're going to be able to re-sign this guy, and for the numbers he's producing right now, I think we can get him at a pretty fair price. I haven't really decided where he's going to fit in the lineup. Obviously, it's going to be the top 6, but do we put him on the first line alongside Jack Hughes? That honestly could be the move. And my guess is that's going to be our only move here at the trade deadline. I can't think of anyone else we really need to bring to the team. Jake Bean, though, hold on, we might be making another trade here. I should have just added Jake Bean to that last trade package, but he could be a very good player for us. A right defenseman, he can fit on all defensive pairings. This might be the move. I think we're going to trade for Jake Bean as well. Never mind, we're not trading for Jake Bean. He just got traded, so we're not going to be making any more moves here. Let's get to the end of the season. Patrick Laine, you're going to go down as one of my favorite players of all time just because of this contract we're signing you to. 5.7 for the next 8 years. In no world should you ever accept a contract like this, but we're going to be signing you for the next 8 years, and you're going to be a critical part to the success for this team. I mean, just look at this absolute king right here. 86 overall, all the X factors, 27 years old, and we're only going to have to pay him $5.7 million. What an absolute W, mans. Well, I guess the Houston Tigers and all the Hughes brothers are ready to compete now. We're 6th in the entire league, 47, 29, and 6. We're scoring a lot of goals here. The defense still isn't necessarily the best in the world, but it's definitely a work in progress. We already know this. And just look at these legends leading the way. Jack Hughes, 105 points, 34 goals, 71 helpers. Quinn Hughes, 11 goals, 76 assists for 87 points. Lindholm's got 74. Robbie Fabry, 67 points. The St. Louis Legends, good to see him healthy and playing again. And the rest of the team, absolutely spectacular. Everyone's playing their role, and Luke Hughes, 35 points, a new career high for him. Everything's going our way right now. Actually, I take that back. The only thing not going our way is the goaltending. Logan Thompson, 36 wins, 3 shots, a 905 and a 309. We're not winning a Stanley Cup with these numbers right here. However, if you can turn it up in the postseason, we might be able to compete with the best in the league. And you better turn those numbers around real quick, because in the first round, we got ourselves a tough matchup. We're going to be taking on the Dallas Stars. We have the Colorado Avalanche up next. They completed an upset over the Minnesota Wild. This is going to be a good matchup for us, but we have a real shot at making it to the conference finals here. Never would have expected that in year number 3. So the Colorado Avalanche have definitely put up a bigger fight than the Dallas Stars. We split the series 2 games apiece now. Game 5 is going to be a big one, but unfortunately we're dropping that one 3-1. But now it's time for Houston to respond. We're going to wake up here in game number 6 and we're off to game 7. Never mind, I guess we're going to fold in overtime here and we're falling in the second round. I mean, to be completely fair, we are in year number 3 here. I did not expect this team to be even making the playoffs at this point, let alone sweeping teams. So I would take this as a win so far. However, next season, we better be top 5 in the entire league. So Jack Hughes is going to be leading the way in the postseason. No surprise the big time players are stepping up here. He's got 13 points. Quinn Hughes, he's picking up 10. Well, Luke, what were you up to in the postseason? I'm not expecting you to do too much here, but 4 points in 10 games? I guess that's not too bad for you, considering what you were doing in the regular season. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers I'm actually very scared to look at. Logan Thompson, 6 wins, a 912 and a 286. You stepped it up. I can't complain with your production. The rest of the team just didn't step up in front of you. Considering where these numbers were last season, this is actually a massive step up, because last season you had an 893 and a 347. So yeah, that's good improvement right there. So if there's one way we're going to get this team better, it's through building in the draft, and we're going to be starting off with a 63 overall, low elite potential power forward with the 25th overall pick. So with this next selection, we actually have to drop back in the draft, because I want the 69th overall selection, because there's a player around the 70th overall range that's going to be a game changer for this team. So the 58th overall is going to Colorado for a 3rd and 4th rounder. I don't think they're going to be accepting this. Of course they're not. We'll turn that into a 5th or 6th or something. I'm not too sure yet. So the 69th overall and a future 7th round pick for the 58th. We're getting this deal done, but Colorado doesn't know what they just gave up, because with the 69th overall pick, we're going to be selecting a 48 overall goaltender, but we have to remember this man has high elite potential. He's going to turn into a superstar for us. Definitely not for this upcoming season, and definitely not for the 2 seasons after that, but 5 or 6 years down the line, he's going to be our man. So Gabriel Degg, I said you're going to be the franchise goaltender for our team. I'm taking it back. Things are changing. So once again, there's not many good players available late in the draft here, so we're going to be acquiring a future 3rd round pick from the Anaheim Ducks. On top of that trade, we're also going to be trading a future 5th rounder over to the Colorado Avalanche to get a future 6th. I know that literally makes no sense trading a 5th round pick for a 6th, but I'd rather get a 6th rounder that might turn into a low elite potential player than draft somebody in the 5th round and he only has 7th D potential. Now when it comes to the re-sign phase, we're not going to be bringing any of these guys back here, Lars Eller or Jamie Benn. Meanwhile, these young players, you know what, I might bring in this guy right here, 22 years old and he's a 73 overall. We can sign him to his rookie deal. And then the 67 overall who's 19 years old, why not? We can bring you to the team as well. So there was a couple things I was concerned about heading into this season, and Quinn Hughes, you were definitely one of them because of this contract right here. I'm not signing you to a 1-year deal, and I'm also not signing you to an 8-year deal at $19 million. We're gonna have to ride out this season a little bit without giving you a contract extension, because I'm not doing $19 million. Ideally, I want to do 8 years at maybe $13 million at the most. But $19 million per year, that's just not happening. You're going to be staying on this team, there's no question about that, but not at that price point. Even Westcott, I'm not really sure if this man's worth $10.8 million. Like, if we're being completely honest, yeah, he's one of our better players. He's only 20 years old and 86 overall, but $10.8 million? I'm not sure if that's the play. Okay, what am I talking about? We're bringing this man back to the team. 9.5 for the next 8 years. He's an 86 overall at 20 years old, and I'm really debating not bringing them back to the team. Sometimes I'm not making sense. Now, Lucas Reichel, I'd actually love to do a long-term deal with you. Could we do 3.4 for the next 8 years? You're playing some big third-line minutes for us, and 84 overall, I can't complain about what your production would be. I mean, at 84 overall, that is a bit of a steep contract, but I'm going to bank on you developing to like an 86 overall. You're only 24 years old. You're still incredibly young. The sky's the limit for you. Okay, Max Domi, you're getting traded. You're up to an 88 overall, and we're only paying you $3 million. Look at that trade value. It's almost the equivalent of Elias Lindholm. We signed you for $3 million. That was a very low risk deal, and it's paying off big time. Even Robbie Fabry, he's up to an 87 overall. We're paying him $2.8 million. We're going to trade this man as well. We're going to ship a couple of these guys out. We're going to bring in some really good young prospects, and then 2 years from now, this team's going to be unstoppable. Alright, so Max Domi's trade value is so high, and so is Robbie Fabry's. We got to get stupid out here. Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli. Can we get both of these guys to join the Houston Tigers? If we could, that would be massive for the rebuild here. Kent Johnson, he's already an 87 overall. Adam Fantilli, he's an 87 overall as well. Both these guys are tied down to long-term deals. I mean, they're 5-year contracts and at a pretty reasonable price. are we going to be able to get both of these guys right here? We actually are. This package right here, after we add a 7th round pick, which is always the difference maker, is going to allow us to get Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli. We're winning a Stanley Cup next season, plain and simple. Now, if we're going to be competing for a Stanley Cup this season, we got to go all in. Rasmus Andersson, I'll give you $9.2 million for 1 season. If you give us 1 great season, we'll be hoisting a Stanley Cup. I can guarantee it right now. But that's actually not going to be the only signing we do here, because Gustafsson, $1 million for an 84 overall, you can definitely be our backup, maybe even our starter, who knows. Okay, so this top 6 is going to allow us to finish top 3 in the league, and that's a fact. Fantilli, Jack Hughes, Kent Johnson, Elias Lindholm, Patrick Laine, Westcott. These guys right here are going to dominate the NHL. The bottom 6 is looking incredible as well. We can't overlook that, with the third line getting a +1 overall boost. The forward core here is pretty good, to say the least. Defensively, we're going to be led by the top 4 here, and that's plain and simple. Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, Rasmus Andersson, Forsling. The lowest overall of these 4 guys right here, an 85. I have literally no concern with our lowest overall being an 85 for the top 4. Most teams don't even have a guy like this. We have 4 of them. And to finish it all off, Logan Thompson, 85 overall. More than likely, he's going to be the guy for us, but if he falters in any way, we're going to rely on Filip Gustafsson. We know this man's capable of dominating, so if we have to turn to him, I got no issue with that. And this is exactly why we wait. Quinn Hughes, thanks for being a bit more reasonable. We're going to be keeping you around for the next 8 years at $12.5 million. So I told y'all we were going to be top 3 in the entire league. We should be first here, but you know what? I'll take second with a 41-16-6 record. On offense, scoring almost 4 goals a game, while the defense 2.84, the best it's ever been. The Houston Tigers are ready to compete, and of course, we're led by Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes. Luke's also here, but you know what? He doesn't really do as much offensively, but he's still a good player for us. No dissing Luke Hughes, of course. Jack, he's got 73 points here. Quinn's got 68, and Fantilli 64. Elias Lindholm 60. Patrick Laine 58, and that's going to include 40 goals. Nah, this team's rolling on all cylinders right now. Also, Luke Hughes, where are you up to? 25 points here, 9 goals, 16 helpers. You're plus 22 alongside your brother Quinn. As long as this team plays up to their potential, we're bringing home a Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers, I better check on those. Logan Thompson, 31 wins, 5 shots, and 910 to 272. You're absolutely locked in right now, and we're ready for a Stanley Cup. I don't think we're going to make any moves here because there's really no one I want to acquire. Maybe I can pick somebody up for the bottom 6 though. I take that back. More than likely we are making one trade. So right now my man's available, and if he's available, we're trading for him. Andre Burakovsky, welcome to the team. You're leading us to a Stanley Cup. Jack Hughes, I'm taking the C away from you. It's going to Andre Burakovsky for the rest of the season. So with the newly acquired Andre Burakovsky, he's going to be playing some third line minutes for us because he's got decent enough line fit there. And he's going to be playing alongside Mason Appleton and Lucas Reichel. They're going to be getting a +1 overall boost. The fourth line's also going to be getting a +1 here, while the top 6, it's going to be staying the exact same. Alright, plain and simple, this team collapsed in the final 20 games. 5th in the entire league with a 49-27-6 record. We are better than what our record shows. We were absolutely abysmal in the final games of the season, but you know what? We're still making it into the playoffs. We have a decent offense, an okay defense. We know what this team's capable of. If they turn it up during the postseason, then every team better watch out for us. However, if this team doesn't turn it up, then we're going to be in trouble. Jack Hughes 100 points, Quinn Hughes had 89, while Andre Burakovsky, what did you do since joining the team? You were minus 38 with your other team. Okay, you were not good for us. You had 10 points in 19 games and you were minus 12. But you know what? I actually don't care about your regular season numbers in the slightest. You know why? Because you're a postseason performer. You're going to pick up 3 game winning goals for us, probably a couple game winners in game 7. You're that guy for us. We can rely on you night in and night out, and now it's time for you to show up, and it's time for this entire team to show up. We have the Dallas Stars in the first round. This team couldn't handle us last season, so there's no reason they'd be able to beat us now. Now, I told y'all that the Dallas Stars wouldn't be able to handle us, and they still can't. We're in game number 5 here, and that means we're going to close out the series. A 3-2 victory in game 5, and we're off to the second round, and we're looking to get some revenge against Colorado. So we moved on to the second round. We already know what's going on here. We got the rematch. The Houston Tigers taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Last season, Colorado was able to top us, but this time things are different. We got a better squad, and now we're ready for everything they can bring. Alright, so remember how I said we were ready for the Colorado Avalanche? Things are not going our way in the slightest. We're out in 5 games. I think we did worse than last postseason. And we got dominated in every one of these games. A 3-1 loss here, a 7-1 loss here, a 6-2 loss here. Yeah, we couldn't compete with this team. Alright, it's time for a stick on the ice statement. The Houston Tigers are going to be winning a Stanley Cup in the next 3 years. I can guarantee it right now. And for the next 3 years, we're top 3 in the entire league every single year. Jack Hughes, minimum 110 points every season. Okay, but I can't guarantee that one. But as long as Jack Hughes performs, then we'll be all right. This team's going to get a massive overhaul. I mean, that's also a lie. We're going to change like 3 or 4 guys. This team's still good. We finished 6th in the entire league. There's no point screwing it up. So we're not even going to talk about the postseason numbers. We're just going to completely ignore them, except for this one right here. Andre Burakovsky, bro, scored 2 goals, but one of them was a game winner. We can always rely on him. Whenever he's on the ice, he's picking up big goals. Logan Thompson, this just ain't it. Gustafson, this isn't it as well. But you know what? That's perfectly fine, because neither of you are going to be in between the pipes next season. We got a new guy coming in. All right, I have no clue why we keep getting medium elite potential goaltenders, but I'm not going to complain. We're securing another one here with the 94th overall. So I used all of my draft picks here in the draft, but besides that goaltender, we didn't really get anyone notable. I do think we did get 2 guys with top 6 potential for forwards, so I mean, that's not too bad. In the re-sign phase, we're not going to be bringing anyone back because we just don't have the money. Rasmus Anderson, Burakovsky, Tyson Jost, Verana, Hakanpää, all these guys are going to be walking. Meanwhile, when it comes to goaltenders, we're also going to be letting all these guys walk as well, including the rookies that have fringe starter and backup potential. Now, Elias Lindholm's on the final year of his contract, and he's 33 years old, so I don't really want to re-sign him. I guess he's 32 years old, but I don't want to re-sign him to a long-term deal. I want to get this team a bit younger. So Matty Beniers, ideally, you're going to be our new second-line center. At an 86 overall, you're definitely going to fill that role. 24 years old, you're going to develop into a superstar player for us, I'm telling you right now. We're also going to be picking up Winterton in this deal. He's like an 82 overall. I actually really want Winterton because he can play on our bottom 6. He'll be a good third line guy for us. Now, I don't believe it's going to really take too much more to get this deal done, so maybe a 4th rounder can be the difference. I'm going to add that to the deal, and just like that, we've got this deal complete. Okay, so we got to pick up another defenseman here, and ideally, I was just going to sign somebody to a 1-year deal on a cheap contract, and then I realized what Brock Faber's trade value is right now. There is no reason it should be this low for an 86 overall at 24 years old. So yeah, we're going to make a deal like this, and we're going to somehow pick up Brock Faber. I guess a medium elite potential goalie, a 2nd and 4th rounder isn't enough, so here's a 5th rounder as well. We're going to get this deal done. I'm willing to give up so much more than this, but this is just the starting offer. I know for a fact we got a couple guys on expiring deals. One of them is Pius Suter, so I'll throw him into this deal and maybe that will be enough. They're still going to be saying no here. I'll put that 4th and 5th rounder back into this deal and that should be more than enough. So this is what we're going to be doing. It's going to be a medium elite potential goaltender, a 2nd rounder, Pius Suter, a 3rd and 4th rounder off to the Minnesota Wild, and they're going to be giving us Brock Faber. They're going to be saying no to this deal, but that just means we need to do 2 third rounders. So here's 2 third rounders instead of a 3rd and a 4th, and just like that, the deal is completed, and we're ready for a Stanley Cup. Because there's no reason that this team right here shouldn't win a Stanley Cup this season. We're absolutely loaded in talent. Alright, so here's our team. Adam Fantilli, Jack Hughes, Westcott, Patrick Laine, Matty Beniers, Kent Johnson. An absolutely incredible top 6 here. Both of them getting +5 overall boost. Meanwhile, here's the bottom 6. We got Kane Lindstrom jumping into the lineup here, an 81 overall at 21 years old. We already know the beast this man develops into. This guy right here, Kane Lindstrom, an absolute stud. And then here's the defense. Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, Brock Faber, Forsling. I don't need to say any more. And then here's the goaltending tandem. Gustafson, he's going to be the number 1 this season. And Gabriel Dag, he's backing him up at an 82 overall. Now, I know I said last season it would be top 3 in the entire league. I'm taking that statement back. I don't think we can be top 3 with this goaltending tandem right here. But next season, when Gabriel Dag's up to like an 85, 86 overall, then we'll be top 3. Alright, it doesn't matter who's in between the pipes. I take everything back I just said. We're first in the entire league with a 44-17-4 record. We're scoring 3.78 goals per game, while our defense definitely is one of the best in the entire league. 2.91, we're 2nd in the entire league in defense. 2nd in the entire league in defense, and when it comes to offense, we're 3rd in the entire league. This team's competing with the best, and we're ready to be the best. It should be no surprise who's leading the way. Jack Hughes, we already knew that. Fantilli, an incredible season from him, 73 points, but I don't care about a lot of this stuff. There's one thing I care mainly about, and that's Luke Hughes having 36 points here at the trade deadline. I believe that's a career high for him. He has a career high in points at the trade deadline. He's starting to finally develop. You'll love to see it. And now it's time for all 3 of the Hughes brothers to win Stanley Cups together. Also, I guess it wouldn't hurt if I looked at the goaltending numbers. Gustafson, 37 wins here, 3 shots, a 908 and a 287. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I mean, they're not great by any means, but you know what? You have 37 wins with these numbers, so I'm not going to complain. Now, last season at the trade deadline, we decided to bring in Andre Burakovsky, and that didn't really work out for us in the long run. So I think the plan here is to not make any moves whatsoever, but my God, look at Max Domi's trade value. It's wild that it's that high right now. Like, that makes no sense in the world. You know what? It doesn't matter. We're not going to make any moves here. We're just going to simulate to the end of the season, finish first in the entire league, and then show up in the postseason to win a Stanley Cup. So here we are at the top of the league with a 52-24-6 record, an offense that's absolutely flying while we still have one of the best defenses in the entire league. Can the Hughes brothers finally close out and win a Stanley Cup this season? Well, that's what we're hoping for. Jack Hughes, he's leading the way, 90 points. Fantilli's got 85. Patrick Laine, 82 points, 48 goals, but he was -3. That's the only concern I have right now, is the fact that our second line had a negative plus-minus. Quinn Hughes, 81 points. Luke Hughes, a career high, 44 from him. Meanwhile, the goaltending, I already know that's going to be fantastic. I take that back. Gustafsson, yeah, you had 42 wins. 3 shutouts is great. But a 904 and a 303, those aren't the numbers we're looking for here. But Gustafsson, if you can somehow pull off a miracle here and win us the Stanley Cup, then I'm going to take back everything I said. Gabriel Dagg, you're going to be taking over in net next season. You're going to be our #1 goaltender. But until then, Gustafsson, you have to lead us to a first-round victory against Minnesota. All right, Gustafsson, I'm taking it all back. You had 2 shutouts in a row here, and you only allowed 4 goals in the entire series. You are him. So that was sheer dominance over the Minnesota Wild. I did not think we were going to be doing that well. But Gustafsson, if you keep playing like that, then there's going to be no team that can stop us. We got the Chicago Blackhawks up next. The only player I'm nervous about is Connor Bedard, because that man knows how to score goals. But if Gustafsson can shut him down, then we're getting through this series easy. So Gustafsson's picked himself up another shutout here in Game 3, and now we have a 3-1 series lead, so we're going to close this out in Game 5. Another shutout. This man has 4 shutouts in the first 2 rounds. Unreal. If he keeps playing like this, he might be coming back next season. Plain and simple, Gustafsson, just pick up another 3 shutouts. You've picked up 4 so far, so what's another 3? Okay, so literally the exact opposite of what I just said is happening. We got shut out in game number 1 here, and we were down 3-0 in the series. We responded in game 4, but nah, this team's got to wake up, and so is the offense. A massive win in game 5. Are we going to get an even bigger win here in game 6? I guess we are. We were down 3-0 in the series, but now we're off to game 7. So it all comes down to this. The big-time players need to make some big-time plays here. Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes. I'm relying on you boys right now. Jack Hughes is picking up a goal here during the second period, but we need a bit more than that. The third period is going to be deciding this one. And guess who's picking up goals? Matty Beniers, Mason Appleton, 2 massive goals from these boys right here, beating Linus Ullmark, and we're in the Stanley Cup final. We just came back from a 3-0 deficit in the series. Yeah, we're definitely bringing home the Stanley Cup this season. We're not folding anymore. So here we go, the Stanley Cup final. The Houston Tigers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Jack Quinn and Luke Hughes have a chance to get their first Stanley Cup together, and it's going to be the first of many. Let's bring it home. We have the opportunity to create some history here. 3 brothers winning a Stanley Cup together. It would be absolutely fantastic. We have a 3-1 series lead, and in game 5, we're closing this one out. Jack, Quinn, and Luke have done it, and they're winning right here, right now. Make that game 6. It's going to take 6 games, but it's eventually going to get done. We're champions. Stanley Cup champions to be exact. And when push came to shove, it was the big time players. Jack Hughes, 11 goals, 11 assists, 22 points. Quinn Hughes, 22 points as well. Lucas Reichel, shout to him. And Taylor Radish, 18 points. Wasn't expecting that from a 4th line guy, but Luke Hughes, 13 points here in 22 games. You stepped up when we needed you to. But you know who else stepped it up? This man right here, Philip Gustafsson. 16 wins, 4 shots, a 920 and a 246. He was absolutely incredible the entire postseason run, and you're really making me want to bring you back to the team. However, we're not going to be doing that. Gabriel Dagg, he's going to be up to an 85 overall. He's actually going to be a higher overall than you. It doesn't really make sense for us to bring you back to the team. But then again, these numbers right here, they're hard to turn down. Now we have a bit of unfortunate news here. After winning a Stanley Cup, we're not going to be securing any great young players in the draft. We just got a bunch of bottom 6 guys. I mean, if they develop into good bottom 6 players, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do like drafting superstar potential players. So when it comes to the re-sign phase, we're going to sign a couple rookies here, but we're going to be letting Shillington walk. And Gustafsson, you had an incredible year, but we're also going to be letting you walk. It's time for Gabriel Dagg to take over. Alright, so although we didn't make any re-signings during the re-sign phase, we are going to make some signings here. Brock Faber, I'm keeping you on the team. 8 years at $7 million. That's a steal of a deal for you. Now, Matty Beniers, a deal with you is actually going to be a lot more difficult because I want to do a long-term deal, but I also don't want to give you over $10 million for 8 years. So we're not going to re-sign you yet. Maybe later in the season we will, but if you don't want to re-sign with the team, we will let you walk. I mean, that's a lie. We'll trade him away for something, but I do want to lock him down long-term, not just a 2-year deal. Now here's where things are going to get interesting. We have these 2 goaltenders right here, Gabriel Dagg in 84 and this man right here in 81. If I were to give you an 8-year extension, what would you want? You would want $5.4 million. That's actually pretty solid. Gabriel Deg, what would you want for 8 years? You would want 7.7. I'm not willing to do 7.7, but I'll do 6.1. You know what, Gabriel Deg? I actually will keep you around on an 8-year contract, but we're going to do 6.8 for the next 8 years. That's a great deal for you. You're clearly going to be the guy for this team. I like this contract right here. Meanwhile, when it comes to the other medium elite potential goaltender, we'll do 2 years at 800K. And of course, I can't forget about some of the guys in the bottom 6 that are really important to the team. Caden Lindstrom, 3.2 for the next 8 years. Ideally, you get some top 6 minutes this season, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. And Jansen, I can guarantee you're going to turn into a top player for us, so 1.4 for the next 8 years. Medium elite potential, and you're already a 76 overall at 21 years old. That's a no-brainer for a move. Clark Caswell will do 800K for the next 3 years. We have you on a 2-way contract, so you'll probably play in the AHL this season. Actually, it's not a probably. You will play in the AHL this season. Winterton, 1.8 for the next 2 years. You're a great bottom 6 piece. And then Mason Appleton and LeBanc, I'm probably going to let both of these guys walk. So we're only making one sign during free agency. Borgren, I'm giving you 5.5 for this upcoming season. You're going to play some third pairing minutes for us. That's the only move we're making. We're literally going to run it back with the exact same team. We had some nice young guys on our team. They're going to be even better this season. We're definitely going to have a really good shot at repeating, that's for sure. All right, so this is what the team's looking like for this season. The young guys got even better. Westcott, Fantilli, Hughes first line, Kent Johnson, Matty Beniers, Patrick Laine on the second. The bottom 6 might be a bit weaker because we do have a 77 overall here, but we do have to remember this 77 overall who's 22 years old, he's got medium elite potential. He's going to develop into a really good player. Lidstrom, Lucas Reichel, LeBanc, Winterton, Taylor Radish. This team's full of absolute studs. And then the defense, the top 4 is going to be staying the same, and I know I can rely on these guys. Yeah, we might be getting a -2 boost on the third pairing, but who cares? This top 4, they're going to hold it down. And if the defense isn't good enough, we still have 86 overall Gabriel Deg in between the pipes. He's going to keep on getting better, and he's going to be leading us to a couple Stanley Cups, that's for sure. So right now, Mason Appleton's not playing in the lineup, so we might as well just trade him away now. So we're going to get a 3rd and 4th round pick for him. Now that trade's been complete, let's simulate the season. So if you told me a 45, 17, and 3 record at the trade deadline wouldn't be good enough for first in the entire league, I thought you would be lying. But look at this team. We're scoring more goals than the Colorado Avalanche, almost 4.4 per game, and defensively, we're actually pretty solid as well, only allowing 3.02. The defense could be a bit better, but if you're scoring this much, who cares how many goals you're allowing in? And out of all the superstar players we have on this team, and out of all the Hughes brothers, Westcott's leading the way, 45 goals, 42 helpers for 87 points. I would have never expected this man to be leading the way for us. Quinn Hughes, 79 points. Jack Hughes has taken a step back this season. He's got 76 points. But Luke Hughes showed to you, I think this is a career season for you. 44 points here at the trade deadline. You had 44 points last season in 82 games. This season, you got 44 points at the trade deadline. Things are looking absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers, Gabriel Deg, 36 wins, 3 shouts, a 904 and a 286. I don't care what the regular season numbers look like. We saw what Gustafson's looked like, and he won us a Stanley Cup. So all you have to do is do the exact same thing. Shouldn't be that hard. I don't think I'm setting the expectations too high for you. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. Our team's absolutely rolling right now, and we're scoring a lot of goals, so why screw anything up? Let's just keep on scoring goals here. We're going to rock it with the exact same team. I have confidence in Gabriel Deg once the playoffs come around. He's the man for us. He's going to step up when we need him most, and I know for a fact this team's going to step up around him. All right, so we finished second in the entire league with a 56, 23, and 3 record. The only reason we didn't finish first in the entire league is Colorado had more overtime losses than us, and this is actually the worst thing that could have happened because that means in the first round we have to take on the 51 win Dallas Stars. But then again, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and Dallas is one of the best, that's for sure. Unfortunately for Westcott, he's actually not picking up 100 points this season. You hate to see it. Only 99. Quinn Hughes, 96. Jack Hughes, 89. While Luke Hughes, 50 points for him. That's a career high. This guy keeps picking up career high after career high. As long as he continues this, he might turn into a 70-point player for us. I doubt that's going to happen, but you just never know. The rest of the guys here picking up a ton of points, and that's what I'm expecting from them. Meanwhile, Gabriel Deg, I'm expecting you to stop the puck. 42 wins, 3 shouts, a 903 and a 295. Not the best numbers in the world, but similar to Philip Gustafson, all you have to do is step it up in the postseason when it matters most. And let's get ready to roll here. A chance at repeating. We have the Dallas Stars in the first round. We've matched up against Dallas a few times in this video, and so far they haven't been able to stop us, so why would that change now? So like usual, the Dallas Stars can't compete with us, and we're going to close this series out in 5 games. Never mind, I guess it's not going to be in 5 games, but it will be in 6 games. I'm not too worried about this team. Gabriel Deg only allowing 1 goal in game 6. He stepped it up because we needed him to. So now we have the matchup everyone's been looking forward to, the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Houston Tigers. This entire series is going to be decided by one player, Gabriel Dag. If he can shut down Colorado, we're easily getting past this team. But if he can't stop the puck, then we're toast. Our offense, though, is rolling, so I mean, we can rely on that. But Gabriel Dag, I need a masterclass from you. All right, we're down 3-1 in this series. Things have definitely not gone our way, but we're picking up a big win here in game number 5. In game number 6, can we keep this going? Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. We're falling to the Colorado Avalanche. Gabriel Dag, I actually can't really blame this on you. I mean, you allowed 4 goals here. You allowed 6 here, 3 here. Yeah, I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but you definitely didn't help the cause. Then again, our defense wasn't that great in front of him, so I can't really put that much pressure on him. Actually, I'm going to take that back. Our defense is really good. We have Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, Forsling, and Brock Faber. Those are our top 4. We have a good defense here. We just didn't step up when we needed to. Also, I don't know why my green screen is really fuzzy right now. I don't know why that is. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's showing up in the video. I'm assuming it is. Way she goes though. So although we did lose in the second round here, I'm not going to be making a lot of major changes to the team because at the end of the day, we were a 56 win team. We're one of the best in the entire league. The playoffs didn't go our way, but you know what? Gabriel Dag is going to be even better next season. Our backup's going to be even better. This team's going to be looking pretty solid. And just looking at this team, obviously the offensive players weren't playing defense, plain and simple. Jack Hughes, how do you have 14 points and are -1? Fantilli, you had 14 points as well and you were -3. How does that even happen? Like, real talk. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers, Gabriel Dag, these actually aren't that bad. 6 wins, 1 shutout, a 912 and a 279. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, the goaltending and defense could have been a bit better on this team, but we also weren't producing that great offensively. I mean, offensively, we're actually pretty good. We didn't play good defense. That started from the bottom up. Nobody was playing good defensively here. Alright, so there's a ton of amazing prospects available here, so we got to make some moves, and the first one's going to be saying the 26th overall pick over to the Philadelphia Flyers. I want the 36th overall and a future 3rd round pick. Unfortunately, they're going to say no to this one. Maybe I can get a 4th rounder instead. I really don't care what we get, but I do want something other than that 2nd round pick. So we'll try a 4th rounder here. Hopefully that's going to be enough to get this one done. Alright, we got a future 4th round pick. We're eventually going to be flipping that one for some more picks in this draft. So this is the first prospect we're going to be drafting here. He's got top 6 potential, but he's a gem, and I'm expecting he's going to be a very good player for us in the next couple seasons. However, this isn't going to be the best player we draft. Okay, so I'm trying to trade for the 40th overall here, but it has so much trade value, it's actually a bit ridiculous. I'm going to be trading, I actually don't want to give up that 4th round pick, I'm taking it back. We're going to trade our 7th rounder, a 2nd, and a 3rd rounder to get the 40th overall. That's quite a bit, but considering the prospect we're going to be getting, it's definitely worth it. And then with the 40th overall pick, ideally we get this man right here, and he's going to have medium elite potential. That's the plan, at least. He's got top 6 potential, but he is still a gem, so I guess I'll take it. But then again, we did give up a lot to get that pick, so kind of sucks that he's not medium elite. So we got to keep on making trades here. Now we're acquiring the 86th overall pick from the Vegas Golden Knights. Now obviously this man right here isn't going to have franchise potential, but there is a chance for him to have elite potential, and that's what we're hoping for. A medium elite potential power forward. That's a great pickup for us with the 86th overall. So in order to keep on picking up prospects, we got to keep trading picks away, and now we're trading our 5th and 6th rounder to get the 92nd overall. Minnesota thinks it's a great deal for them. Wait till they see who we pick up. Alright, so the plan was to draft this goaltender right here with high elite potential, so I guess we're going to have to settle for this goaltender that has medium elite potential. Obviously, I would have liked this guy who has high elite potential, but I can settle for medium elite, I guess. And to finish the draft off here, we're going to try to acquire the 109th overall pick from the New York Islanders. I'm going to trade Carolina's future 4th round pick for it. And to cap this draft all off, ideally we get a high elite potential goaltender here. I don't think it's going to be happening. High starter potential is still not too bad though. So after all the moves we made, we ended up making 5 draft picks, got a couple of elite potential players, and then the other players we got, their medium potential players are higher. We got some medium top 6 guys, a high starter potential goaltender. Those guys have a really good chance of developing into some solid players for us. So currently we don't have enough money to bring back Matty Beniers, but luckily he's not going to be walking away from the team because we're going to be able to qualify him as an RFA. We'll clear up some cap space and then bring him back next season. Meanwhile, unless you're a rookie or willing to sign a 2-way contract, you're not going to be returning to the team. The simplest way for us to clear up cap space in order to keep Taylor Raddysh around is trade him away, so we're going to be sending him to the Boston Bruins for a 6th round pick. Now that we've cleared up $2.1 million, it's time to bring Matty Beniers back. Alright, we have a problem. After trading Taylor Raddysh, we still don't have enough money for Matty Beniers. That means somebody else has to get traded, but I already know who we're going to be shipping out. I didn't want to have to turn to this other guy, but you know what? He's on an expiring contract, so we might as well trade him away while we can. Alright, so I think this is going to be the play here. Forsling over to the New Jersey Devils for Darby. He's an 80 overall, 20 years old, and he's still on his rookie contract. We're going to ignore his numbers from last season where he only had 2 assists and was minus 25. This man's going to be able to play for our team. I'm going to send this package over. They're going to be saying no, but if we include a 4th rounder, I think that'll be enough. Then again, I'm actually not going to include a 4th round pick because we do have a lot of goaltender prospects. So here's a goalie that has medium starter potential. Is that going to be enough to get this deal done? There we go. We got the man we need, and we just cleared up a lot of cap space. So now that we've cleared up the money for Matty Beniers, we're going to be bringing him back, and we're going to do $7.3 million for the next 5 years. And Matty Beniers isn't the only guy signing an extension here, because Jack Hughes needs one as well, and we're doing $10.5 for the next 8 years. That's an absolute steal of a deal for a guy like Jack Hughes. We're keeping him around long term, and as long as we have all the Hughes brothers here, we're going to be competing for Stanley Cups. Now, we are going to do one signing here in free agency, and I'm going to do Joseph to a 2-year deal at $1.8 million. He's going to fill out the bottom 6 here, and now we got an entire roster for next season. So I actually realized we're one defenseman short, so we're going to be trading 2 prospects away, and we're picking up Ethan Dalmastro. Okay, so I think it's safe to say our team's even better. Jack Hughes, Fantilli, Westcott on the first line. All these guys have superstar X factors, and then we have Patrick Laine, Matty Beniers, and Kent Johnson on the second. They're getting a +5 boost as well, and the bottom 6 here, absolutely incredible. Clark Castwell, he might only be a 77 overall, but he's still pretty young, 23 years old, while Jansen, he's up to an 83 overall. He's playing with 85 overall Lindstrom and 87 overall Lucas Reichel. These 3 guys are going to be dominating the bottom 6. And defensively, we still have a ton of studs here. The Hughes brothers are getting a +2 for line chemistry, while Brock Faber and Darby, they're going to be getting a +5. However, when it comes to the goaltending situation, Alex Layev is going to be leading the way at an 88 overall. Gabriel Deggs actually going to be backing him up at an 87. We have 2 incredible goaltenders here. Alex Layev is an 88 overall, Gabriel Deggs an 87. We've already committed money to Gabriel Degg, but Alex Layev at an 88 overall, we might have to commit money to you as well. And what makes this even more difficult is we have a good backup in the system as well, a 79 overall that has high elite potential. He's going to be up to probably an 85 next season. We're going to have to make a very difficult decision when it comes to goaltenders. As of right now, the Houston Tigers are doing even better this season. A 47-16-3 record. The offense isn't as great, only 3.68 goals per game, but look at that defense, 2.68 allowed. We're scoring 1 whole goal more per game than we're allowing. 3.68 compared to 2.68. This team's looking solid. Obviously, with the offense taking a step back, these numbers aren't going to look as good. Jack Hughes, 66 points. Patrick Laine, 65, but he's got 42 goals here. Westcott, 31 goals. Yeah, the numbers might not be as good, but we're keeping the puck out of our net, and that's what matters most. And just look at these goaltending numbers. Alexeyev, 39 wins, 4 shots, a 914 to 257. You're our guy. Gabriel Degg, we're going to be trading you pretty quick here. Now, I don't think we're going to make any moves here unless Marchenko fits on the bottom 6. If he does fit on the bottom 6, we'll probably acquire him. It looks like that's not the case, so we're not going to be making any moves here. We're just going to rock with the team we have for the rest of the year. And personally, I'm perfectly okay with that. We're a 47 win team. We're guaranteed the playoffs. There's a possibility we've already clinched a playoff spot. Alright, so we're closing the season out best in the entire league with 57 wins here. The goal scoring really picked up after the trade deadline. However, the goals against was a bit worse for us, but we're still at the top of the league in both of these categories. I mean, not first in the league for goals for, but we're third. Defensively, I know for a fact we're the best. I take that back, we're actually second in goals against. All I know is we're top 3 in both of these categories. We're pretty good, best in the entire league. No one can really hack it with us. Jack Hughes, 89 points. Laine, 84. Quinn Hughes, he's picking up 79 points. Meanwhile, Luke Hughes, 57 points. I can't complain about that production from you. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers, this is our man right here. 47 wins, 4 shouts, a 906 and a 275. There's a really good chance that we win a Stanley Cup this season. I think he's a massive step up from Gabriel Degg. You know what? It doesn't really matter who's in between the pipes. We can have a 50 overall. We can have a 99. The rest of the team has to perform. We have the Dallas Stars in the first round, and we already know we beat this team. We never lose to Dallas. Wow, who would have saw this one coming? A 3-1 series lead against the Dallas Stars. Unfortunately, we're not going to close it out in Game 5. That just means we're going to close it out in Game 6. A massive 7-3 victory. We're off to the second round. And I kind of want to take on the Colorado Avalanche because I want to get my revenge. This team needs to take Colorado out at least once. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've actually beat them once, but Colorado's always a good matchup. That's must-see hockey. Well, it looks like the Colorado Avalanche aren't going to be able to get past the Minnesota Wild, so that means we're going to be taking on Minnesota here in the second round. If we're able to get past Minnesota, I think there's a very good chance we make the Stanley Cup final. I'm not scared of Arizona. I'm not scared of the LA Kings, but Minnesota, they scare me a bit, I'm not going to lie. So here we go. Can the Minnesota Wild compete with the Houston Tigers? Definitely not, and so far it doesn't look like they can. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we're going to be taking them out in game number 5 here. Alright, so we're ready for the Stanley Cup final. It's either going to be the Ottawa Senators or Pittsburgh Penguins. The LA Kings only won 39 games during the regular season. We won 57 or 58. I don't even remember how many we won. All I know is we're a lot better than the LA Kings. So we're 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final. We're going to close it out in game number 5 here. I guess not. Close out in game number 6. We're not losing to the LA Kings. I repeat, we are not losing to the LA Kings. We are a 57 win team and they're a 39 win team. We're not losing to the LA Kings here. Alright, we're not going to lose to LA here. So far, we've split the first period. We picked up 2 goals. They picked up 2. In the second period, we're going to be dominating, picking up another 2 goals. And in the third period, another 2 goals. We scored 6. They scored 4. We're in the Stanley Cup final. So here we go, the Stanley Cup final. The Houston Tigers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins won 40 games. So 1 more than the LA Kings. The LA Kings somehow put up a big fight against us. I have no clue how, but that doesn't matter anymore. We have the Penguins, and the Hughes Brothers are about to pick up their second Stanley Cup together. So it all comes down to the next 7 games here. Are the Houston Tigers and Hughes Brothers going to be performing here? It doesn't look like it. We're down 3-1 in the series. They were a 40-win team, and we're about to lose to them. Maybe not. We might be making a massive comeback here. 7-6 in Game 6, and we lose. That is a tough one. That is a real tough one. Didn't want to go out like that, that's for sure. Now this is just disappointing. Jack Hughes 30 points, Fantilli 24, Quinn Hughes, he picked up 24, Luke Hughes 16 points, his best postseason. We were scoring lots of goals, everything was going right for us. Even the goaltending here, actually I take that back. I was about to say it was good. A 901 to 311. You need to play better than this, straight up. Now this right here, that's a W. Jumping from 10 to 1 to get the first overall pick. Shout out to St. Louis. I hope you get a high franchise potential player. Now, St. Louis, y'all better not screw this up. There's actually a franchise potential player here available. You better draft him with the first overall pick. An 84 overall with franchise potential? Great pickup. We don't have enough medium elite potential goaltenders, so here's another one. We're drafting him 32nd overall. At this point, it seems like I can only draft medium elite potential goaltenders. So far in this video, I think I've drafted probably at least 8 or 9 of them. It's actually a bit absurd. And you know what else is absurd? The fact that outside of medium elite potential goaltenders, I can't really find any solid prospects. So I'm trading a 5th and 6th rounder over to the Buffalo Sabres for a future 3rd. So during the re-sign phase, I'm going to qualify this low elite potential player and then sign this rookie right here. But other than that, we're not going to be bringing anyone back. Okay, I was super concerned when it came to the Fantilli contract. I thought he was going to want like $18 million or something absolutely ridiculous like that. But 8.8 for the next 8 years, that's a contract I can definitely live with. So here you go, Fantilli, 8.8 for the next 8 years. That's a steal in my eyes. And then when it comes to the Kent Johnson money, we're going to be giving him a pretty good deal as well. He's going to be getting 8.2 for the next 8. However, through making these 2 moves right here, we are going to have to clear up some cap space. Also, Darby, you're not going to be coming back to the team because I don't think we're going to have enough money for you. What do you want? Never mind, you want $3 million. Okay, we can do an 8-year deal at like 3.5 million and we'll just clear up cap space. I'm definitely keeping you around. Yeah, so Darby, here's 3.5 million for the next 8 years. I have no clue why you would accept that contract, but it might be possible. Okay, our goaltender that was in the AHL is now an 82 overall with franchise potential. So he has to be the guy for us. I was going to go with Alex Laev, whatever his name is. I don't know why I keep saying it wrong. We're going to have to trade him away. I guess keep Crawford. Here's the short and sweet version. We're making a couple moves here. All right, so this is actually some big brain plays right here. We're not going to do an 8-year extension. We're going to do 7 because if you do 8, he wants 10.2 for his asking price. We're going to do $9 million per year for the next 7. The reason I'm doing 7 years is I don't think that 8 years down the road, because he still has 1 year left on his contract, either Jack, Quinn, or Luke is going to be retiring. Once one of the Hughes brothers retires, the rebuild's over. So over the next 8 years, one of them's eventually going to retire. We could get risky and do 6 years and then save a bit of money. That actually could be the play because we're pretty cap tight right now. So I think that's actually what we're going to do here. We're going to do $7 million per year for the next 6 seasons, and we're going to bank on one of them retiring over the next 7 years. At that point, they're going to be 37 and 38 years old. I think this is a risk we have to take. Now, Gabriel Dag, I'm going to be trading you away a $6.8 million cap hit. We got to free that up right now. Okay, so this is the plan because we have to clear up money. Gabriel Dag and Lucas Reichel, I'm shipping both of you guys out. That's going to clear up about $10 million. And we're bringing in Boys. He's only getting paid $1 million. He's on his rookie deal. He's an 84 overall. If we can't get the second rounder, I'm actually perfectly fine with that. But you got to give me at least one draft pick back, maybe a third rounder or something. I'll try to get 2 third rounders from the Washington Capitals, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Maybe just 1 third rounder. Even if we can't get a third rounder, I'm actually okay with this deal right here. We just got to clear up the money. Okay, you want me to include a draft pick. Now, I'm definitely not liking this deal anymore, but you know what? We got to clear up money. We're desperate. Here's a third round pick. Okay, if you don't accept a second rounder as well, then we're not going to be doing this deal right here. I mean, I take that back. I'll probably still do the deal. I want to get this guy. He's on a cheap contract. They're kind of bugging. I'm not going to lie. I am giving you more than enough for one player. Give me this cheap defenseman who has 2 years left on his contract. Here's a second and a third. That's still not enough. What else could you possibly want? Okay, I'm standing on business right here. I just included a first round pick into the deal. That's still not enough. I'm going to have to give up a first, a second, a Gabriel Dag, who's a medium elite potential goaltender. He's like an 87 overall, and Lucas Reichel, who's on one of the best contracts in the NHL. All of this for one defenseman, and they still won't give it to me. Here's the third round pick as well. I don't care what it takes. We have to acquire this man to help the defense. That's still not enough. Here's a second rounder. I don't care what it costs anymore. Here's a second rounder. Is this enough? There we go. We got a cheap defenseman that's going to help us here. Yeah, I don't really know what the thought process of this move was, but we cleared up money. That's the most important thing. Okay, so we have a bunch of spare money for this season, but next season we have none. So Jacob Pelche, I'll give you 6.6 for 1 year. You'll play on the third line for us. That will round out our forward core. I don't believe we've cleared up enough cap space, but you know what? We're going to make it work somehow. Okay, so this is the most that we're able to offer Kent Johnson right now. We're going to do 7.725 for the next 6 years. I don't think he's going to accept this because we didn't have enough money to bring him back. We're taking a gamble here. We have our franchise potential goaltender locked down, though. That's the most important thing. We're going to hold on to Alexeyev for this season, but the next season we'll trade him away because he has trade value, and we're not going to be able to afford 2 goaltenders of this caliber. Okay, so we're not going to be able to bring back Kent Johnson. We're just not going to have the money for him. Now he's asking for $10 million. He's an 88 overall. We're going to be taking a slight step back here, but Michael Misa, he's an 86 overall, and we're going to have him locked down for the next 5 years at $5 million. I think this move is going to work out for us in the long run. We're not going to be able to get a third and a fourth rounder, but maybe we can just get a third. They're accepting this deal. This is a good move for us. Okay, this right here, this is the greatest forward core you're ever going to see. Michael Misa, we're going to have him playing out of position. Although he's a center, he's playing left wing for us. 86 overall, 87, 87. Defensively, you're not going to see a better defense than this. Luke Hughes, Quinn Hughes. I don't know why I just said them backwards, but I did. Brock Faber, Boys, Darby Del Mastro. This is an incredible defensive core right here. And to top it all off, look at this goaltending situation. This is incredible. Crawford, you're only an 84 overall, but you still got that franchise potential. You're going to be the guy for us. That's guaranteed. But Alexeyev, try and win us the Stanley Cup this season. Why not? Also, I probably said your name wrong. I don't know why I always say it wrong, but yeah. I mean, you guys haven't heard me say it wrong because if I say it wrong, I just edit it out. But for some reason, I want to call him Alexeyev. No clue why, I just do. Never mind, I just listened to the Google Translate. Alexeyev is actually right. I'm just yapping at this point. Let's simulate the season. Okay, I have not been paying attention to the season simulation right now. I'm looking at something on my other monitor. We're 34-4. We have lost 4 games this season. I have never seen anything quite like this before. Yeah, so change of plans. I'm not stopping at the trade deadline, right to the end of the season. No point stopping when you're 34-4. Okay, it's been 5 games since we were 34-4. We're 35-9. I should have just kept my mouth shut. Okay, hold on. We have to look at something here. I think we're on a 10-game losing streak. Okay, there's a franchise potential player here. Don't really care about that. We're just losing game after game. How long was our losing streak? We lost 7 games in a row. That made no sense for how we started. Okay, we're not going to talk about what happened this season. 59-23. We were 34-4 at one point. We're just not going to talk about that. The goals for per game, 4.17, great. The goals against, 2.9, that's pretty solid as well. We were 34-4, and then we just sucked after that point. Westcott, 102 points here. Quinn Hughes, 95. Jack Hughes, 91. Luke Hughes, you had 58 points. Can't complain about that. But with how this team was looking, I thought we were going to win 70 games. I'm going to be completely honest. Alexeyev, 47 wins, 3 shots, a 902 and a 296. Pretty solid numbers. Crawford, 12 wins, 2 shots, a 913 to 253. You're our goaltender for the future, but for now, Alexeyev, get us one more Stanley Cup. You went on a really good run last year, but we ended up losing in the Stanley Cup final, and now we have Colorado in the first round. I'm calling it right now. We're losing in the first round in 5 games. I can see it all happening. After we lost that first game 4-3, I honestly thought we were going to get swept here, but luckily we're going to be winning 4 straight games and we're off to the second round. So we moved on to the second round, and if the Colorado Avalanche can't stop us, nobody can. Well, I guess the Pittsburgh Penguins can. They beat us in the Stanley Cup final last season, but we're not worried about last season. We're here. We're the best team in the entire league. We can compete with everyone. Okay, we can't go out like this. We've split the series 2 games apiece, dropping game 5. We're not dropping game 6. We're forcing a game 7. Alexeyev's picked up a massive shout here, and we're off to game 7. This season's been way too up and down for me, and right now we're losing in the first period. Okay, that's great. We got to lock in here. We got to make the comeback. We're not losing in game 7 here. We can't lose this one. Jack Hughes, pick up the overtime winner. Dakota Joshua, St. Louis Legend, scored. Okay, so we just lost here. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. We were 34-4 at one point. We were 34-4 and then lost 7 games in a row. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. Matty Beniers, you picked up 15 points in 12 games. That clearly wasn't enough. Yeah, the green screen looks funny on my hand right now, but we're not going to worry about it. This was a season. This was a season indeed. Yeah, I don't know what to say. 34-4 at one point, and we're out in the second round. Okay, so we got to bounce back big time here. So that means we got to bring in good prospects. We're starting off with a medium elite potential defenseman. And we're going to continue to stand on business here. And we're going to pick up a low elite potential defenseman as well. Okay, basically after I drafted that low elite potential defenseman, everything has not gone our way. This is how I do scouting, by the way. I just pick guys that have inaccurate scouting. And then sometimes it works out for us. Sometimes it doesn't. In this situation, it worked out. We're getting a low elite potential right winger. So yeah, if you've ever wondered how I scout in my videos, I just let the CPU handle absolutely everything. And then when it comes to the draft, I just take long shots. Unless I can get a guy like this, 227th overall, low top 6 potential, that's not too bad. He's a 49 overall. He's not going to develop into anything, but still, it's not too bad to have. So we're not making a ton of signings here during the re-sign phase, but Winterton, I'll do 1.8 for the next 3 years. For a bottom 6 guy, that's a pretty good contract, and you fill the role. However, Pelche and Joseph, we're going to be letting both of you guys walk. Tillett, I'll do 1.5 for the next 4 years. You're 76 overall, but you might be able to crack the bottom 6 this season. And if you develop into an 80 overall, the contract's worth it. So all the main guys are going to be rejoining the team, except we do need some help on the bottom 6. And that's exactly what No Cates is going to be doing. So I'm going to trade a prospect for him. I guess one prospect's not going to be enough. So here's a prospect and a 7th rounder. Because obviously the lucrative 7th rounder always makes the difference. So Alexeyev, you've been an incredibly important part to this team. And you've got us to 1 Stanley Cup final. However, we were never able to win a Stanley Cup with you. So I'm going to ship you over along with the 7th rounder to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're getting 2 third-round picks in a second. But now it's time to flip some of those picks. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, they have somebody that I'm very interested in, and I'm willing to trade a 2nd and 3rd round pick over there to get Mathers. He's a right winger, only 19 years old, but he's an 81 overall, and he's got some X factors. We're going to pray that this man can fit on the bottom 6. I don't really care where he plays. He's going to fill a role on this team. Why I gave them a 5th round pick when I could have just gave them the 7th, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. We got the guy we needed. In my last 10-year rebuild, Sebastian Cossa was an absolute legend, so we're going to bring him in on a 2-year deal at $1.2 million. Okay, so we're not talking about what happened last season. We're not talking about the success we had last season, and then everything fell apart for this team. This is a good team right here, led by Jack Hughes, a 95 overall. Then we have Quinn Hughes in 96, Luke Hughes in 86. This is a very good team right here. Boys, this is going to be your last season with the team. I'm just going to keep it 1,000 with you. You want $10 million, and I'm not willing to commit $10 million to you. This is a very good team. And then we have Crawford, an 89 overall. Sebastian Cossa backing him up at an 81. We are going to win this season. We're going to win a lot during the regular season. However, I can't guarantee that in the postseason because this team always falls apart when it matters most. Not this season, though. Crawford, you're taking over. You're going to be the number 1 throughout the entire year. We're simming up to the trade deadline, and this team will have 45 wins at the trade deadline. Anything less is an absolute disappointment. Okay, I need to make one thing very clear right now. To start the season, we were 8-10-2. Since that point, we have barely lost any games. We've been by far the best team in the entire league. 4.33 goals per game, 2.89 allowed. We're the best in the entire league in both categories. That might be a lie, that might be the truth. I actually know it's a lie. There's a better defensive team than us, but that doesn't matter. Hughes, 86 points, 32 goals, 54 helpers. He's dominating right now. Quinn Hughes, he's dominating as well. He's got 61 points. Meanwhile, what's Luke Hughes up to? 39 points here in 64 games. That's not too bad from him. This team's rolling on all cylinders right now, and the goaltending numbers, I'm really curious on what those are. 35 wins from Crawford, 4 shots, a 905 and a 269. It's time for us to hoist the Stanley Cup. It's been way too long since the Hughes brothers got one together, but now we're ready to do that again. Now, I guess the real question is there any moves we can make here that's going to help us for one season? Troy Terry, you have 3 years left on your contract. I don't want anyone with more than 1 year left on their contract. Shane Wright, that could be interesting. Now, Shane Wright, do you fit on the bottom 6 here? Because if you do, we can bring you onto the team. Okay, Shane Wright's the move. However, in saying that, we also have to clear up cap space for him. So who could we actually trade away? I'm not trading away Lindstrom. I'm not trading away Darby. Del Mastro, he's not getting traded away either. Okay, maybe we're not making this move. Yeah, we just don't have the cap space. Noah Cates, if I throw you in this deal. Okay, we technically could trade Noah Cates away. I think that's what we're doing. Noah Cates and a 3rd round pick for Shane Wright. That's going to be the move here. He's going to be playing center on the 3rd line. That's going to be the lone move we make here. Now we're ready to win a Stanley Cup. Shane Wright was the missing piece for sure. All right, so this is what the move is. Shane Wright, Lidstrom, and Jansen on the 3rd line. This is the greatest 3rd line in the league. This 3rd line could probably be the #1 line on most teams in the league right now. All right, to finish out the year, the Houston Tigers cannot be touched right now. 59 wins, 20 losses, 3 OT losses, scoring 4.5 goals per game and only allowing 2.77. We have the best defense in the league and by far the best offense. No one's even close to us. So with all these stats right here, we should be taking home a Stanley Cup, no questions about it. Hughes 109, Westcott 101, Fantilli 92, Patrick Laine 89, and then the goaltending numbers, I know those are spectacular. Crawford 47 wins, 5 shots, a 909, a 256, and he's going to keep on getting better. This entire team's coming back next season, I think, except for one person. Everyone should be better. Maybe not Patrick Laine. I think he's starting to age out a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. We're in the postseason here. This is when it matters. We're taking on the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. Do not lose. Whatever you guys do not lose. And I'm not talking the first round. No, I'm talking about the postseason in general. Y'all better not lose in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. Show up for once. It should not be this close right now. We've split the series. Game 5 is going to be the deciding one. This is not happening. We are not losing in 6 games here. This cannot be happening right now. We cannot lose in the 1st round to the Chicago Blackhawks. I actually don't care what team we lose to as long as it's not in the 1st round, or the 2nd, or the conference finals, or the Stanley Cup final. We are not losing here. All right, the 1st period, we're picking up the first 2 goals. We're doubling down the 2nd. We got this game all locked up. 8-1. We're winning 8-1 in Game 7. That should be the only scare we have in the postseason. Let's go win a Stanley Cup. No more folding. Shout out to Jack Hughes. He picked up a trick. He also had a power play goal, a shorthanded goal, and is this a regular goal? No, it's a power play as well. I thought this man had a 5-on-5 goal power play and shorthanded. That would have been a sick hat trick. All right, so we had our 1st round scare, but we're not going to worry about that anymore. We got the Minnesota Wild in the 2nd round. They beat the St. Louis Blues, so we got to get back for St. Louis. We're smoking Minnesota here, a quick 4-game sweep, and we'll move on to the conference finals. We got to get revenge for St. Louis. All right, we've split the series so far. I have no clue why we're not one of the best in the entire league here. I mean, we are one of the best in the entire league, but we don't play like it 90% of the time. Off to Game 7 again. This is beyond ridiculous. Here we go, another Game 7. I am so sick and tired of Game 7s. Also, Westcott's dominating right now. He's got 13 goals in 13 games. That man is him. Like, he's literally him. Okay, here we go. We have the lead in the 1st period. We blew it in the 2nd. Who would have saw that one coming? And we're probably going to choke here in the 3rd period. Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, the Hughes brothers have won Stanley Cup so far. We probably have about 4 good years left with this team because Jack Hughes eventually is going to start declining. Same with Quinn. Luke Hughes, you're only an 86 overall. I thought you would have been a 90 overall based on the role we gave you on this team. Like, we've given you 1st line minutes since your rookie year, and you've only hit an 86 overall. That's perfectly fine, though. We're going to be able to bounce back here. I actually don't know if we're bouncing back. We're going to lose 1 player over the offseason, maybe 2. We might trade Patrick Laine away because he is declining a little bit. A couple moves are going to be made here. I guess it wouldn't hurt if I show you the postseason stats and who won the Stanley Cup. Montreal's going to be taking it home. Westcott, he led the way for us. 13 goals, of course. We already know that. 20 points. I don't know what happened to this team. We were doing a great job scoring. I'm scared to look at these goaltending numbers. That ain't it. Well, we know what the problem was. All right, we cannot catch a break here when it comes to the draft. So we're picking up a future third round pick from the Boston Bruins. And with the 161st overall, I'm not going to bother trading it. We're just going to select somebody that's projected about 20 picks later, maybe even 30. Hopefully this guy has medium elite potential. That would work out well for us. Of course he doesn't. Okay, so not only did this team fall apart in the postseason, this draft was an absolute disaster for us. We didn't get any good prospects. Things are not going our way right now. So I didn't plan on bringing Shane Wright back, but we actually have the money for him, so why not? We'll do 5.1 for the next 5 years. He'll play on the third line. Yes, that's pretty expensive for a third line guy. We're qualifying boys, but he's going to be traded because I don't know how much money this guy wants. All I know is it's way too much. 11.6 million. That's just not happening. Okay, maybe we're not bringing back Shane Wright because he's saying no. Also, Clark Caswell, we signed you to a 3-year deal and it's on a 2-way contract. We're paying him about $1 million. That's a great deal in my eyes. So maybe Shane Wright, what about 5.4 for the next 5? If you don't accept this contract, I'm not willing to do any more than this. Are you really going to argue over 400K? It looks like you will. Now, I just said I wouldn't bring you back, but I was actually capping. Here's 5.6. I'll give you 5.6 for the next 5. Are you going to fight me over about 300K? Doesn't look like it. Shane Wright's coming back to the team. We got to make a couple changes to the defense, but other than that, we're ready to roll. All right, so I think this is going to be the move because Patrick Laine, you are aging out here. You're still an 89 overall at 34 years old, and you've got a bunch of X factors coming off a fantastic season, but let's cut to the chase. You're going to be aging out soon. Kemmel, on the other hand, he's 28 years old and 88 overall. He's just entering his prime, so we're going to be picking him up. I really thought a 7th rounder would be enough. I guess we're going to have to go with a 6th. So here's a 6th rounder, and that should be enough to get this deal done. I guess we're doing a 6th and a 7th rounder. At the end of the day, I don't care what we have to give up. A 6th and 7th round pick is really nothing. Kemmel, welcome to the team. Unfortunately, though, we're actually not really clearing up any cap space here, so that doesn't help us. So this might be a massive downgrade, but we're kind of forced to do it. Boys, I'm sending you over to the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're picking up Garnett here. He's a 79 overall, but he's got X factors, 3 years left on his rookie deal. This is a smart move for us. We really don't have any other choice. But we're not done with the trades yet because I'm also going to be picking up Reed from the Philadelphia Flyers. We probably gave up more than we had to in this deal, but we got the man we needed, and ideally we can sign him to a long-term deal. But I don't expect that to be happening. All right, so we got to re-sign Luke Hughes, and we're going to pray he accepts this deal right here. 7.6 for the next 5. If he doesn't accept this, more than likely he's going to be offended by the offer, and then he's going to want $11 million. We're taking a big risk here, but you know what? I think it's worth it. I mean, we could have just traded somebody away, and then we would have had enough money for sure, but scared money don't make money, and we're making risky moves. Now this right here is an amazing forward core. We didn't really make too many changes. We brought in Kemmel. We traded Laine away. Shane Wright, he's going to be here the entire year. The defense, it's looking pretty similar as well. Darby's moving up to the 2nd pairing. Garnett's going to be on the 3rd. Reed's here as well. Now I know I just said we didn't really make any changes, but we did bring in 3 new defensemen. So I guess that is a lot of change. Meanwhile, the goaltending situation, Crawford's an 89 overall. He's got some X factors. The only concern I have with him, his poise is a 74. I need better poise than that if we're going to be winning a Stanley Cup here. But you know what? We're not going to worry about that right now. It's going to continue to develop. He's only 24 years old. I also believe we have some good guys in the system here. 280 overalls. One has high star potential. The other has medium elite. Okay, Sebastian Cossa, you're getting sent down to the AHL. We'll bring one of those goaltenders up. Probably the one who has medium elite potential. Now, eventually, this team has to stop disappointing. We're way too talented to be losing in the 1st and 2nd round and not winning Stanley Cup. Jack Quinn and Luke Hughes, they don't have too many years left in them. We got to win while we still can. Also, this team basically has no cap space, so we're not stopping at the trade deadline here. We're just going right to the end of the season. We're going to rock the team we have right now, but I know for a fact the team we have right now can win a Stanley Cup. We won 10-3 in a postseason game. The only loss in the postseason so far came against the St. Louis Blues. We eventually lost to the Chicago Blackhawks, but if the only teams we're losing to is St. Louis, I can live with that. Okay, we lost a couple games in the preseason. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to win 60 games here. Now, it should be no surprise with the Hughes brothers leading the way. We're going to be first in the entire league, 56 wins this time around, and we're picking up 4 goals per game, but 3 goals allowed. We definitely need to straighten out the defense here because 3 goals allowed, that certainly isn't it. And also shout out to the St. Louis Blues, 4th in the entire league. We better watch out for these boys because they're going to be competing. And like I said, the Hughes brothers are going to be leading the way here. We got Jack Hughes picking up 103 points, Quinn Hughes picking up 85. Meanwhile, Luke Hughes, you haven't really done too much this video. I'm going to be completely honest here. You had 37 points. I'm expecting more from this. You have exact top 4 potential now. I give you all the opportunities in the world to become a top defenseman for us, and you just never stepped up. Honestly, it's a bit of a shame. Meanwhile, Crawford, I can't complain about 39 wins, and I can't complain about 4 shutouts, but these numbers right here, I can certainly complain about. This ain't it. But then again, if you post a 940 and a 180 in the postseason, then none of those regular season numbers matter. We have the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. If we're going to lose in the first round here, it definitely would be to Colorado. So I guess the Colorado Avalanche really can't take us out because we have a 3-1 series lead, and in game 5 we're going to close this one out in a 3-2 victory. We're off to the second round, and ideally we take on the St. Louis Blues next. That's what I'm hoping for. Actually, I take that back. I don't want to take on the St. Louis Blues because St. Louis would certainly beat us. So yeah, hopefully it's not St. Louis. Alright, so we're probably going to be out here in the second round. We have the St. Louis Blues to take on. Obviously, they're the most superior franchise in the NHL right now. Yeah, they might have finished 4th in the entire league, but you can't finish first every single season. St. Louis is going to have a really competitive team led by Robert Thomas. I'm assuming Robert Thomas is still on the team because why would he ever leave St. Louis? Okay, so we swept the St. Louis Blues. Wasn't expecting that. We're 8-1 in the postseason right now. I really thought St. Louis would have been putting up a bigger fight against us, seeing as they did finish 4th in the entire league here, but I guess that's not going to be happening, and we've moved on to the conference finals. So in the Western Conference, 2 of the best teams are matching up against each other. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Houston Tigers. Over in the Eastern Conference, we have the Islanders taking on the Maple Leafs. It's definitely going to be a tough finish for this team. So it looks like no team can stop us right now. 11-2 in the postseason. We're closing out against the Edmonton Oilers, and now we have the New York Islanders to take on. We've been almost perfect in the postseason so far, 12-2. We're going to keep that rolling here, sweeping the New York Islanders. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a sweep, but 16-3 in the postseason, I can definitely take that. And just like that, the Hughes Brothers are taking home another Stanley Cup together. That's going to be their second of the video. They should definitely have more than 2 by now. Obviously, Jack Hughes is going to be leading the way. He had an incredible regular season. He's going to cap it off with an incredible postseason here. 25 points. Van Til, he's got 24. Westcott's picking up 18 points. Can't forget about Michael Misa. He's got 23. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers spectacular from Crawford. 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 924 and a 231. I told you it doesn't matter what your regular season numbers are if you step it up in the postseason, and that's exactly what you did here. We're going to be bringing back a majority of the team for next season, and I'm ready to run it back here. So although we can't get a medium league potential player in the top 10, doesn't mean we're not going to get one. So we're getting a medium league potential goaltender. Haven't secured one of those yet in this video. So the draft has been pretty mid outside that medium league potential goaltender, so we're going to trade our 4th rounder for a future 4th from the Anaheim Ducks. Okay, so one of these prospects we drafted a handful of years ago is absolutely elite now. He's an 84 overall at 19 years old. Here's your rookie contract. We're signing an 84 overall to his rookie deal. So that's really helping the team. We're going to be saving a lot of money right there. Now we're just going to be signing players to rookie deals here and qualifying some RFAs. No major signings. When it comes to goaltenders, we're going to be letting Kosa and this guy who has medium fringe start potential. They're both walking. So I gave both of our goaltenders here a 2-year extension at $850K. Whichever goaltender is the best after that point, then we'll be signing long term, but that's actually a lie because we have Crawford for the rest of the rebuild. Eventually they're going to get traded. They have trade value. I'm not really too sure what the plan is with both of these guys. So as we know, Reed, we can't afford to bring you back here because you want way too much money. I think you're asking for like $7 million. Yeah, you're a good young 84 overall player, but it's just not worth it. So we're going to pick up Ronan from the Nashville Predators. He's an 85 overall, 2 years left on his contract. We're going to try to go 1-for-1 here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. We'll throw a 7th rounder in and get this deal done. So here's the 2035 7th round pick, and just like that, the trade's been completed, and we just got a nice upgrade to our defense here. Now, when I signed Darby, I was expecting him to be a very important part to this team, but unfortunately, that's not the case. We brought in some really young players, and they've all developed better than he has, so I'm shipping him over to the Carolina Hurricanes, and we're getting 2 third-round picks. Now, Mathers is an important part to this team, and I want to keep him around here, so we're doing 4 years at $1.8 million. I think that's an absolute steal. Now, when it comes to Matty Beniers, I think we're going to be letting him walk in free agency, but until then, let's ride it out for one more season and go for the repeat. Okay, so after the changes we made during the offseason, the forward core is looking, I think, almost identical. It actually might be identical here, so we don't have to worry about that. This forward core right here, they knew how to score goals. Now, defensively, there's nobody stopping this. Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, an 85 overall and a 96. Our rookie that we just signed, he's on his rookie deal right now. He's an 86 overall at 20 years old. He's going to be the face of this franchise in a couple of years. Brock Faber, 88 overall. Then we have Ronan and Garnett on the third pairing, an 82 and an 85. They're getting a +2 boost. The second pairing is getting a +3. Meanwhile, the first pairing is getting a +2 as well. And then in between the pipes, don't worry, we have 2 elite goaltenders. Crawford, an 87 overall. Fitzgerald, he's an 85. This team has absolutely no weaknesses. If you were to say we have one weakness, that's on the 4th line where we have Clark Caswell, and he's only a 78 overall. I would say our 4th line is our only weakness on this team. The top 9, absolutely incredible. All 3 defensive pairings are fantastic, and the goaltending spectacular. By rights, this team should be winning 60 games. There shouldn't even be a team that can compete with us. But we all know that's not the case 99% of the time. We're going to somehow fall apart sometime during this season. At one point, we were 34-4. I will never forget that season. 34-4, and then we lost the next 7 straight. Sometimes things don't make sense. We're going to simulate up to the trade deadline. We're probably going to make a move for a 4th line player. But until then, let's just dominate the league. Okay, this league is absolutely rigged. We're 5th in the entire league here. We're scoring 4 goals a game, only allowing 3.06. That's actually not good whatsoever. How is our defense not good? Out of everything on this team, our defense isn't good. We do remember who our defensemen are, right? Nobody's getting past those guys. Okay, the second line sucks. Michael Misa, you're +1. Matty Beniers, you're 0. Does someone have a negative plus-minus on this team? I'm assuming somebody does. Kemmel is -7. Bro, you are bad. Just straight up, you are not playing that good. Okay, we're making changes over the offseason because Kemmel, I'm paying you $5.8 million right now, and you have 26 points. You are terrible. The rest of this team's not bad, but that second line is absolutely abysmal. The goaltending situation, Crawford, 37 wins, 5 shouts, an 894 and a 303. Normally I'd be concerned about this, but last season your numbers were pretty close to this and we won a Stanley Cup, so I'm not going to worry too much. But with all that being said, we're definitely making some changes here. Alright, Patrick Laine, I know for a fact you can perform on this team, and you can definitely perform on the second line. You have 56 goals at the trade deadline. Okay, yeah, so we're bringing you back to the team. You haven't been gone that long. We've gone 1 season without you. I'm willing to bring you onto this team and then ride out your contract, and I'll send Kemmel over just so we can get the money to work. This deal is perfectly fine with me. Here's a 5th rounder as well. Patrick Laine, welcome back to the Houston Tigers. And then I think our final move here is going to be a 1st round pick sent over to the Philadelphia Flyers. We're picking up David. They're going to retain 50% of his contract. He's an 85 overall. He can fit on the bottom 6 here. I guess we really didn't have to give up a 1st rounder there, but if we're going to be winning a Stanley Cup here and that turns into the 33rd overall pick, I think that's worth it. So this is what we're going to be doing. Patrick Laine, he's going to be returning to the second line here. We already know he can perform at his best right here. And then Lidstrom, David, and Jansen, they're going to be on the 3rd line. So the Houston Tigers are finishing the season out strong, of course, led by the Hughes Brothers. 53 wins here. We're scoring over 4 goals a game. That's fantastic. But the defense, that's stepping it up in the second half of the season. We're below 3 goals a game. That's what we're looking for here. Now, obviously, Patrick Laine is going to be leading us in points here, but how many did he pick up since we acquired him? 17 points in 18 games. That's going to include 11 goals. That's exactly what we're needing from him. Fantilli, 104. Westcott, 103. Jack Hughes, 93. He's 32 years old. Quinn Hughes, what's he? He's 34 years old. He's probably going to be the first guy to retire here. Then again, he still has his franchise potential, so maybe he won't be retiring anytime soon. The second line was looking a lot better after we made those trades, and Crawford, 44 wins, 7 shouts, an 895, and a goals against of 3. We know you can perform in the postseason. Now it's time for you to step up once again, and we can go back to back. And to start our repeat run, we're going to have an easy matchup in the first round, the Arizona Coyotes. I don't care what year it is, Arizona's not competing with us. Alright, for some strange reason, the Arizona Coyotes are actually competing with us. Game 5 is going to be an important one. Luckily, we're going to be taking that one in an overtime victory. This series has been way too close. But don't worry, because in Game 6, we're going to be closing it out in another overtime game. This series right here did not give me the confidence for a deep postseason run, that's for sure. So although it wasn't a dominant sweep over the Arizona Coyotes, it doesn't really matter how you get to the second round as long as you make it there. And now we're here. We got the Minnesota Wild to take on next. I don't think the record we have represents the team we have, because Arizona should not have put that much of a fight up against us. But hey, maybe I was just sleeping on Arizona, and maybe they were just one of the better teams in the league. Who knows? So it turns out the Arizona Coyotes are just a very good team. We're dominating the Minnesota Wild right now, and ideally we were going to close it out in Game 5, but that just means we'll close it out in Game 6 here. A 5-1 victory, and we're in the conference finals for the 2nd year in a row. Realistically, we're Stanley Cup bound here. There's no way the Vegas Golden Knights are beating us. We were a 53-win team. They were a 36-win team. They finished the season 2-3-5. If we lose to this team right here, I'm trading the entire team away except for the Hughes Brothers. So it's not much of a surprise. The Vegas Golden Knights can't compete with us right now. We're going to close this out in 5 games. We made it to the Stanley Cup final. We're finishing it off with a shutout, and now it's time to complete the repeat here against the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa's putting up a good fight, but we split the series so far. Game 5 is going to be the big one. Are we going to be able to pull that one out? Yes, we are. It looks like we're going to be closing this one out in 6 games. We've completed the repeat, back-to-back Stanley Cups for the Hughes Brothers, and now it's the big one coming up next. It's time for the three-peat. We've won 3 Stanley Cups with the Hughes Brothers so far. 2 of them have been back-to-back, but I want to win a 4th one, and I want that one to complete the three-peat. Now, Jack Hughes might not have been leading the way this time around. Westcott was our man. 29 points here, 16 goals, 13 assists. But Hughes had 27 points. Jack Hughes, to be specific, because Quinn Hughes, he's picking up 23 points. No clue what Luke Hughes was up to. He's probably not doing too much here. What did he have? 12 points here. His plus minus was 0. He wasn't really doing too much, I'm going to be completely honest. But hey, the goaltending, I know that was spectacular. Crawford, 16 wins, 2 shots, a 905 and a 273. Last season's playoff run, you had better numbers, but I don't really care what your numbers are for winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. So we haven't been able to do too much in the draft here after winning a Stanley Cup, but with the last pick we have here, we're going to be securing a low elite potential defenseman. I don't think we have a 7th round pick. Maybe we do. Yeah, we don't have one. The last selection we're making is coming here in the 6th round. Hey, we got an elite potential player. We've won back-to-back Stanley Cups. So there's not really too much to complain about. So we're in the re-sign phase, and it's going to be a tough offseason for us. Matty Beniers is going to be leaving the team. We're also losing Winterton, and on top of that, David's not going to be returning. I mean, we only picked him up at the trade deadline, but he did play some big games for us. 3 crucial parts of this team are going to be leaving. However, we do have this medium elite potential player. We're going to be trading him away. He's got some trade value, and we're going to fill out the bottom 6 with some studs. Okay, so there's a couple things I noticed here, and the first is the fact that we still have Patrick Laine under contract, getting paid $10 million. That's not happening. We're trading him away. On top of that, Luke Hughes needs an extension here, but we're actually going to be saving some money. So with Luke Hughes, we're going to do $11 million per year for the next 2 seasons. That's $1.5 million less than what he's getting paid right now. At 34 years old, he's a 95 overall, and he continues to be one of the best players in the game. So I mean, hey, at that price point, it's actually not too bad. Westcott, I'm expecting you're going to be looking for an absolute bag here. I think we can make this work though. You've been playing some massive minutes for us, so I'm willing to give you a big time extension. We're going to do $13 million per year for the next 7 years. That'll keep you around for the rest of the rebuild here, because there's no way it's going to be more than 7 years. Michael Misa, you're also playing some massive minutes for us, and we'll do $9 million per year for the next 8 years. That's actually an amazing contract for an 88 overall. You're 27 years old. I don't expect you to get any better here, but hey, you're not going to get any worse, that's for sure. And when it comes to our 2 young defensemen here, we're going to ride out their contracts for this season, and then we're going to trade them away for 2 more young defensemen. We're just going to keep on flipping defensemen for the rest of this video. Alright, so I think this is actually going to be an incredible trade for us. Patrick Laine over to the San Jose Sharks. We're getting Sepinen and Lapierre. Lapierre is going to be playing some bottom 6 minutes for us, while Sepinen, I think he's going to be playing some top 6. They're not going to be accepting this deal, but I think a 3rd rounder is enough to make the difference maker. We probably don't even need to throw a 3rd in here. Let's try a 4th instead. A 4th rounder is going to be enough, and we got this deal done. And by making this deal, we also clear up a lot of money in cap space. But now Sepinen, we got to give you an extension. The deal we're doing with Sepinen here is actually going to be incredibly reasonable. We're doing 6 years at $6.3 million. I was thinking he was going to want way more money than this, but this deal definitely works for us. So we have this medium elite potential prospect here, but I'm really contemplating trading him away, and we could send him to the Florida Panthers for 2 second-round picks. Medium elite potential is great and all, but he's 23 years old and he's only a 72 overall. Is this man ever actually going to develop for us? Even in the AHL, he's not putting up that great of numbers. So I think we're going to ship him out while we can, get some more assets here, and 2 second rounders. I think that's a good deal for us. So I think we got to round out the bottom 6 here and make some upgrades. And Bowl, I think you could be one of them. You have 2 years left on your contract, and it's your rookie deal. You're an 83 overall. You got a ton of X factors. No clue how you have that many X factors, but I want to pick you up and I want you to join our team. So here's the team for the 3-peat: Fantilli, Hughes, Westcott, Bowl, Michael Misa, Lindstrom. The bottom 6 here is definitely taken a step back over the past couple of years, but the 3rd line's still looking strong. Defensively though, I actually think we're in a better position. However, Quinn Hughes has started to decline. At 34 years old, he's dropped to a 94 overall. We don't have too many years left with this core. We got to win now. And on top of that, the goaltending situation, I never would have expected this. Crawford's the backup. An 87 overall backup at 26 years old, because Chris Klimchuk, 89 overall at 23 years old. He's going to be the starter for this season. I would have never expected that. Crawford, he's going to be the backup. I can't really complain with him being the backup, but man, I would have never expected that Chris Klimchuk would have taken over. I thought Crawford was our guy for sure, but I guess sometimes things change. We're rocking 2 fantastic goaltenders here. I would say we're a 60-win team, but I say that literally every year, and we never win 60 games. So we're a 50-win team. We know that for a fact. Alright, so I have no clue how this happened, because I said we would be a 50-win team, but of course we win 64 games here. That seems like the only logical thing to happen. We're scoring 4.33 goals per game, and we're only allowing 2.52. This team's incredible, and we have a very good shot at completing a 3-peat. But in all seriousness here, I said we would be a 50-win team. We end up being a 64-win team. Every other year I've said we're going to be a 60-win team. We end up being a 50-win team. I don't know what changed here, but this team's absolutely rolling, and the goaltending numbers spectacular from both of these guys right here. It doesn't matter which goaltender's in between the pipes. We're going to be the favorite in all these matchups, but we're going to lose to the St. Louis Blues in the 1st round. That's the most fitting way to end our 3-peat run. St. Louis, a dominant franchise, the greatest franchise of all time, they're going to be able to stop the Hughes Brothers and the Houston Tigers. So no surprise, the St. Louis Blues are putting up a pretty good fight against us. Game 5 is going to be an important one. Why am I surprised that this is happening? Why am I surprised we're losing to the St. Louis Blues? We're going to be shutting them out in game number 6 and we're off to game 7. This is really the only logical way we could lose in the playoffs here. It has to be in the first round, and it has to be the St. Louis Blues, one of the greatest teams of all time, if not the greatest team of all time. I mean, we already know they are the greatest team of all time. We're losing. We really lost here. That happened. We lost in the first round after winning 64 games and a chance at a three-peat. I don't know what to say. I really don't. This team, they confuse me. They really confuse me. No, but in all seriousness, how did we lose to the St. Louis Blues? We were a 64-win team. The player stats, they're not going to look good here. Yeah, this just ain't it. And the goaltending numbers, I'm terrified to look at those. Okay, we just didn't score goals here, and that makes no sense, seeing as we were the best offensive team in the league. Now, all we have to hope is we can run it back next season and none of the 3 retire. I know for a fact Luke Hughes isn't going to retire, but Jack or Quinn, that's always a possibility. So normally we're stopping at the draft lottery, but today we're checking in on the retired players, and it doesn't look like either of the Hughes brothers are going to be retiring. I mean, none of the 3 are going to be retiring, but we knew Luke wasn't, so we got another year to run it back here. So Garnett, you're an incredibly important part to this team. However, you want $9 million, and I'm not willing to commit that to you. We also don't have the cap space, so I'm going to send you over to the Calgary Flames, and we're going to pick up the guy that was just drafted 4th overall. Okay, we can't get a 4th round pick, but if we give them a 7th rounder, then we'll be able to get this deal done. I think this is a smart move for us. And just like that, we acquired the 4th overall pick. After securing the 4th overall pick, we're also going to be making some more moves here, and with the 29th overall, we're securing a low league potential player who is a 65 overall. Why mentioning he's a 65 overall is important? No clue, but I just decided to mention it. But this draft might be better than I was expecting, because with the 62nd overall pick, we're going to be securing a defenseman with medium league potential, and he's a gem, so there's a good chance he develops into something for us. However, in saying that, I don't know how many years we have left in this rebuild, probably 3 max, so more than likely we're going to use you as a trade asset. So it's going to be an incredibly quiet re-sign phase, because we're only qualifying 2 players here. Everyone else is going to be walking. Alright, so sometimes when I'm doing rebuilds, I make mistakes, and stepping in, you were definitely a massive mistake, so I'm packaging you up along with the 2nd rounder, and we're picking up Ruutu from the Winnipeg Jets. I honestly thought this would be enough, but I think a 4th rounder will be enough to be the difference here. I don't want to have to give up a ton of assets, but I do want to clear up this contract, because 6.3 for an 81, definitely not it. And then of course, we got to give out some big extensions. Ruutu, we're going to be starting with you. We're going to do 5 years at 3.2 million. I think that's a nice deal, and that'll keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. You're going to be playing some bottom 6 minutes for us. Meanwhile, Bowl, you've been absolutely incredible since joining the team, so I want to keep you around as well. So how does 7.2 for the next 4 years sound? Also, Peterson, you play 4th line minutes, so 1.2 million for that's actually kind of useful. So maybe we can pick up a 1st round pick from the Edmonton Oilers. It looks like our goaltender and a 2nd round pick isn't enough. What else do I have to throw into this deal? I know we have prospects here that you want. I could throw in this medium league potential one, but I don't want to do that because he's a 79 overall. He's also going to be playing on our defense this season. In order to get a 1st round pick, I'm willing to do this. So maybe Rodin and a 1st round pick from the Edmonton Oilers. All right, there we go. We got the man we want. But not only is he the man we want, he's the man we need. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of glazing. So at the beginning of last season, I predicted that we would win 50 games, and we went on to win 64. So here's my plan for winning 70 games. We're gonna win 32 games this season. Yep, this team right here is gonna win 32 games and 32 games only. This defense, it's gonna be absolutely abysmal, the worst in the entire league. Well, this goaltending, they're not gonna be able to stop a single puck. If the same logic applies to last season, we might go 82-0. But you know what? We're not worrying about 82-0 because we're only going to win 32 games this season. There's no possible way for this logic to backfire in any way. It is only possible for this logic to work. Or something ridiculously stupid happens and this team only wins 32 games and we miss the playoffs. But that's not going to happen. We're just going to win 32 games this season. And then whatever happens, happens. Also, I'm not 100% sure if we're going to stop the trade deadline. That's going to depend on how the team's doing. But if we're only winning 32 games, we're probably not going to be doing too well. So we can't take any years for granted because I don't know how many we have left. First in the entire league once again with a 57-23-2 record, over 4 goals per game while having the best defense in the entire league. Well, it's not the best defense, it's the 2nd best, but same difference. Even though Jack Hughes is an old man at 34 years old, he's still producing 100 points. Quinn Hughes at 36 years old, he's a 92, dropped to elite potential, but hey, he had 92 points this season. I can always rely on him. Meanwhile, Luke Hughes was this season looking like for you only 47 points. You're 32 years old. My guess is the first one to retire out of these three is probably going to be Quinn. And I mean, he's 36. He is the oldest, so we probably should retire first. But you never know. Jack Hughes, 34 years old. He's dropped to a 94 overall with elite potential. He might be retiring in the next couple of years. You just never know when these guys are going to call it quits. Meanwhile, Crawford, we already know you're in between the pipes for us. 41 wins here, 8 shots, an 896 and a 290. An 896 is not great, but a 290 is not too bad. Hey, you've won us 2 Stanley Cups. I have no questions about you when it comes to the postseason. It's time for you to show up once again. Also, clearly what our issue was in the last postseason run was Crawford wasn't in between the pipes. So technically, if he wins a Stanley Cup this year, then he completed the three-peat, because it's going to be 3 straight years of him starting in the playoffs winning a Stanley Cup. Because last year he wasn't our starter. I'm just kind of yapping here, but we have the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. It's time for Crawford to take over again. Okay, so we scored 6 goals in every single game here. 24 goals in 4 games. That's how you win a series. I mean, defensively, we were absolutely abysmal. 2 goals here, that's not bad. But 5, 4, and 4, we were not holding it down defensively. The only reason we're getting past Winnipeg here is we picked up 24 goals in 4 games. Alright, so we got past Winnipeg, and if we keep scoring like that, then the Dallas Stars will be no issue for us. But if we don't continue to score like that, then we'll be out in 4 games. So the offense better keep on rolling here. Okay, so that's another sweep back-to-back here. A 10-3 victory in game number 3 here. This team might actually be winning another Stanley Cup here, and Crawford might be taking home his 3rd straight. So once again, we have Vegas in the conference finals. Last time we matched up against Vegas, we absolutely smoked them, and I think that's going to be happening again here. Vegas can't even compete with us, and so far, not a single team's been able to compete with us. Okay, the elusive 16-0 is actually a possibility here. We picked up back-to-back shouts in game 1 and game number 2. We're off to the Stanley Cup final, and we're yet to lose a game. Crawford's going down as the greatest goaltender of all time, plain and simple. So it all comes down to this one final series against the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of the top teams in the NHL. There's one difference between us and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We haven't lost a single game in the postseason yet. Columbus, they've lost 2. It's 12-0 versus 12-2. 2 fantastic teams, but only one of them is going to win the Stanley Cup. I gotta turn the face cam on for this remarkable run. There is no reason we should be 12-0 right now. Can we finish this off 16-0 in the postseason? It doesn't look like it. We split the series so far. Game number 5, we're going to be taking that one. And in game number 6, Crawford's going to be winning his 3rd straight Stanley Cup as the starter. If we kept this man in last season, we might have won 4 in a row. Crawford, I am so sorry that we went with that other goaltender. You're our guy, and we're not going to win this without you. Now, honestly, I'm actually pretty surprised that Jack Hughes wasn't the sole leader, because after 2 rounds, he had 20 points in 8 games. Like, he was dominating. In the next 10 games, though, he wasn't really doing too much here. Westcott, 25 points, Hughes, 25, Fantilli, 24, and the goaltending numbers, I already know these are spectacular. Crawford, 15 wins, 2 shots, a 902 and a 268. Meanwhile, we had this backup step in for 1 game. He actually looked pretty good. But hey, that's 3 straight Stanley Cups for Crawford. He's going to go down as one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. And now all we have to do is pray that Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes come back for 1 more season. We can clearly win with this core. We can win with these guys being our best players. Now we just have to hope that they don't retire on top. Because to be completely fair, if they were going to retire, retiring after winning a Stanley Cup, that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. So here we go. We got to pray that neither of these guys retire, because I know for a fact Luke Hughes isn't going to be. And Quinn Hughes decides to pack it in. Why would you do that? We could have ran it back for 1 more season, but you're going to retire after winning a Stanley Cup. Honestly, I respect it a little bit. But no, we could have had 1 more season. We could have got 1 more Stanley Cup together. 1,349 games played, 201 goals, 1,184 assists for 1,385 points. I am so disappointed you called it a career. You're still 91 overall. You're one of the best defensemen in the game still. Quinn, how could you do that to me? We might as well take a look at Jack's numbers, and we might as well take a look at Luke's. But honestly, the fact that Quinn Hughes is going to be calling it a career here, I mean, he is 36 years old, so we should consider that. It's not like he's young by any means. But even still, when you're 91 overall, you got to run it back for 1 more year. Jack Hughes, we're not continuing this video anymore, but we might as well look at your stats. You're going to be finishing with 1,310 games played, 586 goals, 867 assists for 1,453 points. An incredible career from you. You were always over a point a game. We could rely on you every single year. And in the playoffs, you were above a point a game most of the time. We're not going to talk about this series right here. 99.9% of the time, you could rely on this man. This series right here, That was that 1%. And the final Hughes brother we got to take a look at, that's going to be Luke. I'm going to be honest, you were a massive disappointment. 1,068 games played, 116 goals, 452 assists for 568 points. I gave you so many opportunities on the first pairing. It was you and Quinn the entire time. I know you only had elite potential, and by rights, I probably should have gave you franchise because you're an incredible player. But even with elite potential, you never actually even reached that. You finished with top 4 and you're an 84 overall. The highest overall I think you got to is an 86. You never developed any X factors. You didn't live up to your potential. But hey, you and Quinn Hughes on the same line together, you were definitely the best pairing in the NHL. You guys dominated for over a decade, but I guess that's where today's video ends. Before we end it though, comment Crawford. This man was an absolute beast in the playoffs. Like, I want to look at these numbers real quick. He won 3 straight Stanley Cups in which he was starting. He won in 2033, 2034, and 2036. If we kept him in the pipes for 2035, he probably would have won 4 in a row. He's going to go down as the greatest goaltender of all time. Although he didn't reach his franchise potential, an 87 overall with elite potential, one of the best in the entire game, and there's no questions about it.